Hello, angelrin89 here with another Topic of the Week video.
Angelrin89 here.
I'm Julie.
So
Hey, Julie.
this topic is going to this topic is going to be a little bit different because I've brought in another person here who's a bigger Persona fan than the two of us, and she's
bigger and been in this fandom far longer than either of us.
Yeah, so since this is a Persona topic, I figured that it was going to be helpful to have a lot more experience.
Well, and funnily enough, Julie submitted the topic, so hey, there you
go. She also gave the topic.
I did not expect you to ask me to participate when I submitted it, so...
Well, I got that idea. I was like, we should get Julie to help us. I know she submitted it, but we should get her to help us. Because I was worried, what if we got something wrong? I know a lot of Persona because I got obsessed with it after I first got into it, but I'm not perfect. I could get something wrong. I wanted to cover my butt, so I'm like, let's bring in Julie.
Yeah, so the topic is, of course, submitted by Julie on the Discord, and the topic is, what makes Persona 4's anime adaptation good, and why does Persona 5's fail? Yeah, there's a lot to talk about here.
Maybe we should give a little bit of background first.
Yes, so...
Okay, so Julie, you've been a Persona fan for a while.
Persona 4 anime was actually my introduction to Persona, because I didn't own a PSP or PS2, so I couldn't play the original Persona 3.
I didn't know that.
Oh, I thought I mentioned it to you before.
No, you only mentioned that Persona 3 was your first game.
Yeah, but Persona 4 anime gave me a feel Persona games.
That's kind of cool.
So I went and bought Persona 3 Portable and 4 Golden.
Ah, that's actually pretty cool. And I don't know if I've ever talked about this, since I don't think I've done a Persona topic with you yet, Tim.
No.
But for those of you who don't know me, I got into Persona 5 first. A year later, after Persona 5 came to the States.
Almost a year after.
Yeah, it was April of 2018. April 20th was the day that I played it. I still have that. I still look at the live logging and when I playing it for the first time. But I remember I was just going through a GameStop, and I was going through because there was a sale going on the PS4 games, and I was like, I need a couple more PS4 games to justify me owning a PS4, because the only reason I bought one way back when was because of Kingdom Hearts 3. And I wanted to play all the Kingdom Hearts games. And there's a couple of good games here and there. But I was just like, Persona. And I remember Julie loved Persona. And when I was playing Sonic Forces, they had DLC.
That Joker skin, right?
Yeah, Joker skin for the avatar for Sonic Forces. And I remember thinking, that's kind of a cool outfit. I didn't really know anything about Persona other than that Adachi was the villain.
Yeah.
Just whores. It's whatever. I knew that before I knew anything else about Persona. Well, and then they summoned stands. I remembered all the JoJo jokes made about Persona. And just technically, my first Persona game was Tokyo Mirage Inspiral. That's what a Persona game feels like. I was like, because if it is, I can dig it. I remember thinking that.
Yeah, it's basically.
And then because Julie, you really loved it, and the Game Awards was the other reason, because if I kept seeing Persona 5 being brought up, and I remember thinking, wow, the game looks really I love the aesthetics, it looks cool. And so when I was at GameStop, I asked the lady, and she was just like, yeah, she told me it's different from most RPGs, because if you have the whole way building up your stats is more of through social settings, meeting with friends, getting a job, studying, and I'm like, that's different. And so I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. And then before I do it, it consumed my life. Those who don't know me, Tim and Julie know this very well. I've played Persona 5 7.5 times. Okay, a little more than because I'm the Akumara Palace, but then Kingdom Hearts and Tales of Vesperia Definitive Edition and Resident Evil Remake two. Put a hinder in finishing up that 8th playthrough. Then I watched the Persona 4 anime, and then I got Golden, and then I started looking into all the spin-offs, and then I dragged Tim into Persona 5 and Persona 4, and here.
Yeah, so I got into Persona through the Persona 4 anime. I first started watching that, and then it was after that.
Yeah, we watched the Persona 4 anime together. I remember it was at my. That was fun.
Yeah, and then after that I played Persona 5 with her because she had it,
Really
and she's just like,
funny.
just play it on
I was like, play
my.
it with me, because if I have New Game Plus mode, so that way you'll have all the max stats, so that way you can experience all the Confidant.
Yeah.
Nothing to hinder you.
Yeah, so
There was
going into this topic, I
memes.
realized that going into this topic, I hadn't actually played either version of Persona 4, and I hadn't watched the Persona 5 anime. So to prepare for this, I watched several hours of a Persona 4 playthrough, a vanilla Persona 4, and then I watched about 5 or so episodes of the Persona 5 anime. So
And a couple weeks ago, you and I rewatched the Persona 4 anime again.
yeah.
It's
So
such a good anime.
yeah, and it's a stark contrast when you watch the Persona 4 anime and then you start watching the Persona 5 anime, because the Persona 5 anime is, ooh, whoo boy.
We could have so much more.
Okay, yeah. So to start this off, I think it'd be good to talk about general stuff, because I was thinking about this a lot when I was rewatching the Persona 4 anime, and I was starting to watch like a playthrough of Persona 4, and I realized it really does condense a lot of stuff. Like the first 2 hours of the game is condensed in just to the first episode. But then it's like, yeah, but the stuff it cuts out, it makes sense why it cut
Yeah, it cuts out all the fluff.
Yeah, but then you watch the Persona 5 anime, and then you realize that it actually does start cutting out some important stuff. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah, not the fluff.
yeah, and then
Actual plot stuff.
Yeah, and then it has a really bad problem of forcing a catchy in a lot.
The pacing is just really bad.
And the pacing is awful. Like,
quota.
they'll rearrange events.
It's all over the place.
Yeah, like Persona 4 anime rearranged a lot of stuff, but it made sense because the way it rearranged it was to just serve into the flow of the story. Because you don't have hours of gameplay to pace this out. You have an anime and you have just the story beats. So
yeah, ironically, I would say that Persona 5, the way it's introduced, you almost don't need to cut anything out, because it's almost paced like a TV show, at least at the beginning.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Like up until right before whenever Ren awakens, it's very much paced almost like a show. By the time whenever Ryuji awakens, it feels more like a video game. Everything's paced more like a video game is. But it was very interesting how Persona 5 opened up as a game, and I think that's kind of why it grabbed at me.
Yeah, the beginning is just like an action prologue. Well, action.
And it's a good way to do a tutorial.
Right, yeah, and it opens up in medias res. And it even works the tutorial in much more naturally, because when I saw the tutorial in Persona 4, it's just like randomly, alright, you have a persona now, and then now
yeah, he's like having a dream.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, this doesn't make any sense. But then in Persona 5, it's just like, oh, this takes place later in the story after he gets his persona. So, like, oh, all right.
Well, yeah, and then you realize, oh, all the gameplay is just him retelling the story. So it's going to keep cutting back to that interrogation room. So they found a cute little way to do a tutorial.
Yeah, it works really well, and I think this is one of the biggest problems, is that the Persona 5 anime tries to cut down the opening, but then they cut out all of the build up in the beginning.
Like important stuff, like how you mentioned earlier to us in private, how they skipped over picking out the code name.
Oh yeah, I saw that in one of the episodes, and it's just like I was waiting for them to talk about the code names, because they talk about that before they officially go in as a team to the palace, and then it's just like they go in. I'm like, what about the code names? And then it just voices over, hey guys, we should probably talk about code names. I'm like, yeah, you should. Like, you can't.
At the very least, Ren picks a funny option, or it's just like, what about me, sexy cat? Yeah. I'm just like, yeah, there you go. Please pick the funny option.
Though it was weird,
everybody does the funny option.
Though it was weird when Joker only gets his code name after they beat the palace.
Yeah, that's really forced.
Yeah.
Yeah, they rearranged it really funny.
Yeah, I mean,
they also had Unawakened after they cleared the way to the treasure, which was really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
and
just
then
paced strangely.
yeah, I mean, then what they
Though
do,
to be fair, I've read a little bit of the manga, and the manga does it the same way.
Eh.
and then the
Adaption
manga is
thing.
badly paced too.
But maybe we should talk about why Persona 4 was such a great adaptation first, before we can kind of properly dissect why Persona 5 is
Right?
terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, Persona 4 anime, it does a really good job. Like, all right, now, I haven't played the game, I haven't played Persona 4, but from what I saw, it does take a lot of stuff and it rearranges them and condenses stuff while keeping the key important points. Like, it doesn't keep every single time that Yosuke crashed his bike, but
Yeah.
it does keep one of those scenes in just to keep that, but it doesn't do it like 3 or 4 times like it does in the actual game because that stuff is just fluff.
Well, it did do it
Yeah.
twice, actually. It did it like once on his way, and he said, I'll just leave him be, when he racked himself pretty much on his own bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
was
then he
before
just goes to
the
school,
And then there was
and
when
then
Chie beats him up.
TA kicks him, and he's like, I'll just leave him be. Like, it plays up that joke twice. Like, okay, that's funny. But then whenever he's in the trash can, then it shows him, like, deciding now I'll help this kid out. And then they become friends, like, a little bit, like, after that. And I'm like, okay, that was actually really, like, they handled it quickly, but still in a way that was very funny. But it makes sense. The same people that worked on this anime worked Angel Beats, so
Oh yeah,
they know comedy really well. It's really
Freaking love
snappy,
Angel
almost kind of
Beats.
like a Looney Tunes cartoon without being too over the top. And
Yeah.
yet at the same time, they can get over the top.
Well, and it's
Yeah,
something.
like, I really like that detail in the Shadow Kanji fight where they handle the status ailments.
Oh yes, how they adapted that was actually really funny.
Like, it feels more, it flows better than just like taking it how it is in the video game and just popping it.
Yeah, like they were pretty creative in how they like handled a lot of that stuff.
And the Shadow Naso fight with how they made everyone, the boys, old.
Yeah.
Yes, that was really funny. I like how they adapted that. Like how like they adapted like what she was doing, or how like the notes like when Rise like is looking for Himiko, and like you'll see occasionally just like danger, abort, you get out of here, you will die, or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but it was something like that, and I just like I about busted a gut.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is
it was
interesting to
great.
see how they adapted a lot of like the gameplay elements and just sort of just giving nods to the gameplay without saying, okay, we're going to spend 20 minutes going through an actual battle.
Yeah, I love the cut-in screens that show up too. One of my favorite gags is like whenever I think whenever there was a cut-in screen, I can't remember if it was Teddy or if it was it was Teddy when he was old and it was in the Naoto dungeon, and he was like old Teddy and he's trying to summon his persona to like fix them, and instead it's like burning up, but instead of like burning up with an exclamation point, it's like burning up with a period, kind of, so it's like understated. And I'm like, oh, that was actually a really funny gag, but you wouldn't notice unless you like paused it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they added a lot of
But there was a lot. Like, I was telling, actually, Julie Tim this whenever we were watching the Persona 4 anime. What I thought was really clever was how they adapted a part that comes in later in Rise's social link into when you were first meeting her. Like, remember when her man comes up to her to, like, basically she's just like, leave me alone, and he's like, I'm gonna, like, be managing Kanami from now on. She's just like, Kanami? Like, and it just, like, you know, something's tearing her up inside. It was interesting because that's later in her social link. But they said, no, let's do this before she's even thrown in the TV. And it works to her character because at that point she's very torn and she's very miserable and upset. And then she's about to get kidnapped, so she leaves and runs away. And they found a clever way to adapt something later in her social link into before she even joins the party.
That's actually something I really noticed a lot about because when you were telling me about stuff that was in the anime that was in the social links, how they would pick like 1 or 2 things from the social link and they would feature that in an episode, and then that would be
like
part of their
with
character arc.
Daiki, like whenever they were at the school camping trip, Saki's little brother.
Yeah, like they would fit a lot of these character arcs into like a single episode, so that
and then Ebihara's and the music room girl.
Yeah, they spent like not even 5 minutes on the music room girl, and it's just like, oh, it's just a very simple thing to show her character.
But you feel for her when she's crying, and you want to hug her. She's a character you just met. It's like, oh, you poor little trombone player.
Oh,
Let me
Ayani,
hug
that's her
you.
name. I just remembered. Ayani.
What?
Her name's Ayani. I just remembered.
Oh yeah, that's right. I will say the only downside is the I can't remember her name. The theater girl. It's a shame that she never got to really show up. I think she
She
cameoed
had a
somewhere in the background.
cameo. She did appear in the back.
Yeah,
She
but
was
it's
in the
like
background, but
I
not
wish she kind of got a
secondary.
spoken line at the very least. But oh well, it is what it is. There was a lot that they had to adapt.
Yeah, and it's kind of complicated because the sport and culture clubs had 2 routes, so they had to.
Yeah, I know. That's why Daisuke didn't get as many lines as Ichijo, because they picked to develop Ichijo a little bit more, but just Daisuke is, just as Ichijo's friend in the background.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, at least Daisuke got lines.
Yeah. Well, and I also really like.
But no, keep going. What were you saying, Tim?
Oh, it's one thing that I noticed that there was during a part like after they catch Namatame, and the story just kind of slows down a bit before they realize there's more going on. That's when they incorporate some of the Nanako and the Dojima social links.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, yeah, so there's a lull in the story. So in order to keep things going, let's focus on their characters for an episode. And it combined that stuff into an episode that dealt with the backstory regarding Nanako's mother and her death.
Oh wait, no, that's not Namatame. That was Mitsubo. Namatame came after that.
Oh no, okay, yeah. Sorry, I mixed up the names, but yeah.
Because Nanako was kidnapped by Namatame, and he went into the dungeon.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. He just got the order. He just got Kubo and Namatame mixed up. That's all. That's fine.
Yeah. But yeah, it was after that happened. I remember noticing this, actually having rewatching it. Like, oh, this is just a lull in the story. So they filled in this lull with social link stuff and stuff relating to Nanako and Dojima. And it's like,
it was actually really emotional.
Yeah, I like the summer vacation filler because it makes sense for you to pursue so many social links.
Oh gosh, those 2 episodes are some of my favorites.
They're so funny.
It's just, and having Johnny Young Bosch narrate the whole second episode really dramatically, like taking it seriously as possible while being over the top, and he's just like, and you, Narukami's summer continues. I'm just like, oh my, you could tell Johnny Young Bosch was just having a blast, like just doing that.
Yeah, I really like that for covering. It covered like a bunch of different social links, like completely like shotgunning them. But then they portrayed it first from the perspective outside of you
of Nanako,
and her. And I love the love line. The love line stuff was amazing.
Yeah, Detective Love Line.
It just click. I'm gonna pop a cop in ya. No, click. We're on the case. Yeah.
Just like Love Line's violent.
Yeah, but then she's trying to figure it out, and then it looks like Yu's just like hanging out with a bunch of ladies, and it's just like, oh no. Then you find out, no,
she's got a kid.
Yeah.
Now he's with someone's grandma.
Dating a grandma.
Yeah, that was hilarious. And then you get his perspective, and you find out, no, it's just weirder than you would think.
He just finds himself into just a string of shenanigans,
and
he's trying to just help too many
silly
people.
Fox helping him out with this.
Oh, it was good. Man, the anime's so good. And, okay. I think the biggest factor, I think we all can agree on, is how they characterize you.
Oh.
Yeah. He's so funny.
Yeah. Because this is something that all the games do. It's like, okay, you have a mostly silent protagonist that you get some dialogue options with, and you can either play him pretty straight, but then they'll always have these like kind of weird options that you can go with that are funny. And
like the funny options.
Yeah, and then they
did that.
I
remember in the anime, like after Teddy bites Yu's hand, he says, "I'm going to cry," and then
that was the Japanese version. In the Japanese version, I actually watched the clips back to back. Yu says, "I think I'm going to cry," and Chie says, "Oh, buck up," or something like that. Whereas in the English version, it's funnier because Johnny Young Bosch says, "I might be dying," and she's like, "No, you're not."
It's funny because in the game, if you choose that option, Chie will actually feel sorry for you.
Yeah, I like deadpan Chie better. It's funnier.
Well, this is actually something I noticed like watching the vanilla, because one has Chie's old VA, who is so miscast as Chie. And then I noticed a lot of the...
at some point you need to watch a Golden playthrough. Golden's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I played Golden.
Well, yes, but one thing I did notice is that they changed a lot of Chie's scenes to make her more over the top as a character, and it really made her more enjoyable because she's kind of in the original. She's kind of milk toast, and a lot of that has to do with her voice actress just being very like giving straight
Sounding
read.
old too.
Yeah, she
Like
sounds like
she's
30.
supposed to be a 16-year-old.
Yeah, she sounds a lot older, and then she sounds much more just bland about everything. Like she's just. It almost feels like sometimes she's just doing line reads. But then when you get Aaron Fitzgerald doing Chie's just like super intense all the time, I'm like, yes, this is so much more what you would expect from Chie's character if you were reading her description.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun. I love Chie. And
Yeah.
Aaron Fitzgerald just nails it, like out of the park. And I like that they've consistently, ever since the anime, kept her as Chie.
Yes,
She's so good.
She is genuinely better.
Oh man, a lot of the voice casting is great. Sam Riegel as Teddy, I think, is a better fit. I can't even tell that Matt Mercer isn't Troy Baker.
Yeah, they do such a good job. Like, if you played clips of them back to back, you wouldn't be able to tell. It's just that identical.
And no offense to the old Naoto, but my gosh, she didn't even try to sound like a boy.
Yeah.
So when everyone's like, Naoto's a girl, and I'm like yeah. When you listen to the vanilla version.
Like, the Persona 4 Golden Actress does a better job of
Yeah,
so
well,
you can actually
the game,
she's
like, not the game.
masquerading as a boy.
Like, in the anime, like, you could tell she's really trying to be a boy. And when I was telling Tim this too, it's really subtle, but after Naoto's revealed to be a girl, the actress who's playing her in the anime, she's still kind of doing a little bit of a huskier voice, but she's not trying to deepen it that much. It sounds more like a woman with a little bit of a huskier voice. So it's like, oh, okay, so Naoto's kind of, since she's dropping the facade, because they all know, but, you know, it's been a habit. She's kind of pretended to be a boy for years, so it's hard to break that habit.
Yeah.
But, like, when she gets hit, she will yelp like a girl instead of, like, pretending to be a boy. And I'm like, that's actually really good that the actress remembered to do that.
Yeah, like anytime she was really emotional, especially like when she's interacting with her shadow, she sounds like a girl because she's not trying to cover anything up. She's just in complete emotional turmoil. So anytime she's like screaming and emotional, she sounds more like a girl because, yeah, the actress is dropping that huskier voice.
Or like when she's getting embarrassed and really shy and suddenly her voice goes up a little bit up an octave, or she's like, I was really scared. And of course everyone's just like, especially Kaji's just like, oh, it's like, she's so cute. True, she is.
Yeah.
Just like, it was really good. Like, Naoto was done so well in the anime, and I loved the actress that they got for her. Like, she was fantastic.
I know that they often recast Naoto for, like, the spin-offs.
All the time?
The anime. Well, I remember that that Persona Q's Naoto was significantly different than
I have to replay Q. I don't remember. I just remember that was the last time we had Laura Bailey.
Oh, that's sad.
But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
P4tA cast Laura Bailey.
I miss Laura Bailey.
That's just a constant mood for me.
But yeah, I think the best thing about you in the anime is like how he still has his very serious moments, like he's supposed to, because he's, you know, the leader and stuff like that. But I like how they make him 100% straight in everything he says. So they're like, oh, because so if you're supposed to be the straight man, but what if he does the weird dialogue options? Let's keep his personality as the straight man. So, like, he will say even the weird things with 110% a serious face. So the thing is some of Yu's lines when they were weird options were, like, trolling options just to mess with your friends. But then the other times they were just, like, weird options just to make him sound weird. So it makes you, because he's always saying this with the same straight face, you can never tell if is he messing with his friends or is he being serious. And they never make that clear.
I also think the anime
it makes him a funnier character.
I also think that the anime implies a bit that Yu was just hamming it up during the King's game.
Yeah. I like the implication that he was just pretending.
Yeah, especially when it's just like, no, there was no alcohol in anything here. You guys just somehow ended up drunk by sheer placebo
I like
effect.
TA's line. She's like, so what's making us drunk here? The atmosphere?
Well, maybe.
Naoto might have been more dead on, where she's like, you're all imbeciles.
Is this a pack of imbeciles?
Oh gosh, the King's Game was so funny. And when they played Mass Destruction,
Yeah, right when you was ripping his shirt off, and it's just like goes, baby, 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 and he's like doing the darts.
Oh my gosh, I was in tears the first time I saw that.
I think I fell in my chair laughing so hard because I was laughing so hard.
Yeah, it's like this is how you adapt this, because they took a scene, because I saw the King's Game scene from the game, but like, yes, we're just going to make it so over the top it just becomes 1,000 times funnier.
Yeah, so like funny. Honestly, I played the King's Game after I watched the anime and I got Persona 4 Golden and I got to the King's Game. I kept thinking the anime is so much more funnier.
It's so much
they hamped it up so that much. Like, it's so funny, but the anime's version is like 1,000 times funnier.
Oh, and the fact that he put on his glasses at the same time, too.
Yeah.
And he gives Kanji a jetpack, like, fill her up. And Kanji's like watching him with a... What the heck's
on the
going
rocks.
Yeah, I mean, they did a really good job with characterizing you, and like, because all the characters have their own characterization, but you was always kind of left up to the player. So when they were writing you for the show, they definitely had a lot of leeway.
They just had a blank slate to pretty much work with, and just dialogue options. You really don't know. It's different with Ren, because with Ren, he does have some basics of a character in there besides dialogue options, because you get cutscenes, and even because of the hardware is a lot better. You're able to actually like see mannerisms of Ren that show a different type of personality and his combat and the way his actor says all his lines, like when he's summoning his personas and all his mannerisms, body language, facial expressions. You get a basics of a character in there, kind of like Link in some of the more modern Zelda games. So it's like, it's not too much of a self-insert for the player. There's actually a character in there. With you, it's not so much, and Minato, if you're going by like the movies for Persona 3, they had to completely invent a character from such bare bones. And they succeeded, inventing a very fun, likable character that didn't feel like it was betraying the source material, despite the fact that the source material was so bare bones.
Yeah, I think
another detail I liked about the Persona 4 anime is that after the investigation team thinks that the case is done, you get scared about losing his friend. And in Persona 3 movies did something similar. So I assumed that Persona 5 would do something with Ren, but we didn't.
Yeah, there's a lot of things we didn't get.
I like that detail with the Persona 3 and Persona 4 anime adaptation. So I was hoping that we would get it because Ren was pretty boring to watch in the anime. But we didn't.
Yeah, I was telling Tim about this the other day. I think I was telling you about this too. I don't remember. But the problem is not that Ren doesn't have a character at all in the anime, and I think people get this mixed up. Oh no, actually I was talking about this with another friend in a private message. It's not that he didn't have a character at all. He does have. It's just very muted. You can't tell because they were being a little bit too close to how he is in the games. The problem is that doesn't work in an anime. Ben in the games is a silent-ish protagonist. He's not silent. There is a character in there, but for the most part, he's pretty silent. The rest of it's up to you. But he's got a personality in there, and the anime is kind of the same way. He's got a personality in there, but he's also very muted. That doesn't work. This is an anime. This is not a game. It's not up for the viewer to decide what he's like for the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
It's an anime. You gotta decide. We can't decide for you. That's up to you, the writers.
Yeah, and I noticed that when I'm watching some of the episodes of the Persona 5 anime that there were some times when they would include him saying something like kind of goofy. I'm like, okay, that's good, but this only happens every once in a while. Every other time he just sits there not saying anything while everyone else is
He's
talking.
very what did I say in this conversation? Okay, like it's almost like the reverse, because of you and Minato in the games, they're very blank slates. They're very reactionary characters. They react to everything going on around them. Because if they are a blank slate, they're supposed to be a self-insert in the games. Whereas their anime counterparts are different, because if they had to create something, they could not be reactionary. They had to be proactive. They are the main characters you follow. With Ren in the anime, not so much. They instead keep him as this somewhat of a blank slate. Not quite. He's still got a personality in there, but he's still a very reactionary character. He's not very proactive. And that's a problem. He's the main character. He should be the most proactive character. It revolves around him.
I remember reading the TV Troops page for the Persona 5 anime, and it kind of acknowledges that, and that the anime focuses more on the rest of the cast and develop them more than.
Yeah, it's more like Ren's just along for the ride.
And that he really shouldn't be. And what
I mean, he's the protagonist.
Yeah, and another thing that I noticed that really pissed me off is that there were times when they would actually remove some of his reactions from the games and the cutscenes, whether it's his face or like when Anne is talking to him about the stuff that Kamoshida does to her and the sexual harassment. How you can see it closes in on his hands balling up into fists because he's so pissed off. They cut that from the anime. So along with not allowing him to talk at all in a lot of scenes, you don't even get his reaction. So he just kind of sits there like a blank piece of wood. And I'm like...
I think the implication was supposed to be that, like, he felt a little dead inside because of what happened to him and he could relate. But it's like in the game, instead, it's more like it's a reference to the fact that the reason Rin was in this mess in the first place was because he was helping a woman in trouble who was being sexually assaulted. And now here he is listening to another woman who is being sexually harassed. And he's trying to keep a straight face. And even whenever the camera cuts back to his face, after you see him squeezing his kneecap, he keeps a straight face. But it's showing this turmoil because he's told, don't get involved, keep your head down, do this, do that. And then it's like, but here's this happening again. And he can't help it. His sense of justice wants to help her. And you get all that without him talking. Game did that.
Yeah, and
he's a silent-ish protagonist, but you could... The anime, not so much.
Well, and that's really the biggest problem, is that Ren comes off as so dull in the anime. I had so much more fun just giving him the wacky options when I was playing Persona 5, and I'm like, okay, yeah, but I shouldn't be the one having to make up the character here. Like you said, like, you guys are writing a show. This isn't a game. You have to write a character.
Yeah, it's a completely different medium. It has to be treated differently. Like, Julie and I are both writing Persona fanfics right now. Mine's not published. Her is way far into it. But it's a completely different medium. And I'm even talking about how, like, I'm even putting in notes. This is how I would make it, is if it was a game. However, but because it's a different medium, because this is a written medium, I have to write this differently than how I would write it if it was a game. So I, like, simultaneously have two different versions of my story. Because I realize things change when it's written out as written medium. Because it's a new medium. It's not a game.
Right, and I wrote that...
keep in mind about the medium.
What?
Sorry, Tam, what were you saying?
What were you saying, Julie?
Oh, I was saying that you have to consider the medium when you're writing. Because all of them have downsides and upsides, because an anime focuses on visuals.
Mm-hmm. And Tim?
Yeah, and
ahead,
like when I wrote my little Akechi fic, when I was like rewriting his intro, I ran into the thing where I had to write a character for Ren, because I was realizing, like, if I'm writing a story here, I can't have the main point of view protagonist here say nothing for the entire time outside of like one or two lines. So then I had to write around that and write his own character for that.
Well, it's like whenever you had me write those Malin and Link little one-shot drabbles for you, like on my Tumblr blog.
Oh yeah, way back.
I had to create a whole character for Link, and Link is very blank slate, not green of time, despite showing occasion.
He's even more blank slate than Minato and you in the game.
I don't know. I would say Ocarina of Time Link has a little bit more, but that's because you can actually see his face.
Yeah.
But that's here nor there. But it's just like, it's a different medium. You have to be in mind of that whenever you're developing something like that. Changes are necessary. They're inevitable.
Yeah,
So you have to do the best you can to honor it, the original source material, while also making it work into this new medium.
and that's actually something that I've been talking about with a lot of these topic videos for the month, especially for the Tomb Raider one, because when I was talking about how the movie bungled up adapting the game, and I was saying, it makes sense that you would take a 12 to 15 hour game and cut it down for a 2 hour movie. And so there would obviously be things you would have to cut out, but if you have to choose what makes sense to cut. But then the movie just cut out like all of the supporting cast, all of the lore from the game, and then made up something else.
Like what serves the story,
Yeah.
what doesn't serve the story.
And
you have to be mindful of that. And that's what the Persona 4 anime did. Like how it would pick and choose little parts of the social links to actually put in the story. Like I was telling you, Tim, like the part where Yosuke and you go and say they like have their little punch out after like Nanako was in the hospital and stuff like that. And I told you, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's near the end of Yosuke's social link. And they actually added that to the story. But that serves Yosuke's character as he's Yu's best friend and stuff like that. And he was there from the beginning by your side. So it makes sense that they would keep at least one of the most important moments of Yosuke's social link and adapt it into the story. But they adapted other parts too. There was a little bit of Chie's, like when she was defending that kid, stuff like that. And like all the private moments that you can have with each of these characters is adapted in. Like even all your friends.
Yeah.
Heck, even the freaking beauty pageant tied into a moment with Risei's character, like where she realizes she does want to go back into being an idol.
Yeah. And that's one of the best things about it, is that it weaves a lot of the side content, like the social links, into the main story, and just taking bits and pieces of that, it helps the character arcs by just picking out, okay, this is what we need. We don't need all 10 ranks of the social link. We just need, this rank, and then we can work this into the story.
Yeah, that's what I didn't like about how Persona 5 they handled confidence, because they just picked and choose like certain characters and dedicated episodes to their confidant. Well,
oh, you mean you don't like how they introduced Takemi, where she randomly shows up? It was like, by the way, you want some drugs?
Oh yeah, that annoyed me so much, and I was actually commenting about this earlier in the Discord, where like they were talking about needing medicine, and they could only afford Band-Aids because they blew their money buying the weapons from EY. But then I'm like, okay, so this would naturally be a time where they go to Tai and go to her clinic. No. Then Tai just shows up at LeBlanc and goes, hey kid, I have some weird medicine. Just report the results back to me. And I'm like, what?
It was so not organic. The way in the game did it was much more organic, because it's like, even if it's like they don't have enough money, you could fudge off the fact that you buy from her. Instead, take that off and just say, hey, if you let me experiment on you, I'll give this to you for free.
Right, yeah, that's actually what I was saying as a suggestion, because then you can say, okay, we don't have any money, but then she's like, okay, or talking to Ren, she's like, if you take these medicines and report them back, I'll give you the medical supplies for free. It's like, yeah.
Like, be my guinea pig. Like, tell me, like, and then that would kind of play into, like, how, she's supposed to be this sketchy back alley doctor. But then you find out, no, everything she has is very organic and herbal. They're very all-natural remedies, so there's nothing sketchy about them.
Yeah, but then it's like, okay, if you wanted to incorporate some aspects of her confidant and her whole story, you can include bits and pieces of that later. But, like...
Yeah, and that would be a great setup for it. And just, there's so much... a lot of the characters, like the fact that they cut out, like, a lot of Ryuji and like the fact that they fight like cats and dogs.
Oh yeah, that's something that really pissed me off, because I was watching the anime and I was thinking, wait a minute, like I remember in that scene in the game, Ryuji was mean to Anne, but then they would cut it out.
Well, yeah, and Anne can be mean to him too, and it's like, I'm sorry, they have a very sibling-like relationship where they can just be little pricks to each other. But that shows that Ryuji and Anne are not fit characters. Like they can like be flawed even towards their own friends. Also, oil and water.
I also remember when Kamoshida showed up with cognitive on.
Oh, that still
Ryuji
makes
was
me
like,
mad.
"I'm so jealous."
Yeah, that was Ren's line. That was supposed to be your funny option.
Yeah, he said that in the game, and I saw it. I'm like, wait a minute, why is Ryuji saying this line in the anime?
I'm like, that kind of makes Ryuji look really like skeevy. Like,
Sleazeball.
what the heck? Like, why would Ryuji say that?
Especially since he gets so mad at Kamoshida for objectifying girl.
Yeah, like, and how he, like, and people were like, ooh, but Ryuji's, like, no, that does not contradict Ryuji's character later. He's a teenage boy. But there's a huge difference between Ryuji finding women attractive and Kamoshida
Well,
and
yeah,
how
and
he treats girls.
well, yeah, and especially given all of the personal history that Ryuji has with Kamoshida, it's weird for him to say that because Ren doesn't have that history. The issues with him only just
No.
recently started, so him going, "Oh man, I'm so jealous" by seeing an Ann in a bikini with him, that makes more sense for him to have a funny line than for Ryuji to say that.
And besides, you can even make it as, like, Ren saying it kind of, like, to be, like, sarcastic. Like, oh, I'm so jealous. Like, yeah, I'm so jealous of you, you pathetic, like, disgusting man. You feel like
You're a
this
middle-aged man who can only get with a teenager.
a 16, 17-year-old girl. Like, wow, you're really pathetic. But he could be sarcastic, and Ryuji being Ryuji, not understanding it's sarcasm, it flies over her head. Like in the games where he's like, dude, seriously?
Yeah, I mean, it just I really hated that because it's like they're fundamentally changing their dynamic, and like I just felt like that was like just pandering.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
changing
unnecessary
Ryuji's dynamic
change.
with Ren, too, in that moment, because if Ren has nothing to say in that moment. It's like, why? That's a moment for Ren to say something. Stop taking...
It's basically like making Ren even more of a silent protagonist, and it's like, no, he needs more lines.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, why are you stealing lines from him?
Speaking of changes that I really hate...
Is this what I think it is?
Oh gosh, just Tim hasn't gotten here yet, but Julie knows. Remember in Size Palace?
Okay, yeah, I haven't gotten that far in the anime, so
Like because
Julie
they took
knows
away
exactly what I'm referring to.
yes, I know what you're talking about. Like,
Okay, so
I thought they just
people who are watching this right now, if you do not know us, you should at least know by now that Tim really hates Akechi. Just know.
well,
Julie
I've
also
roasted
dislikes
him numerous
Akechi.
times
I
in videos.
despise Akechi. So take this with everything that you know. None of us like Akechi as a character. What the anime did was really unforgivable.
Oh,
because
no,
there was
now I know
actually
what
a
you're talking
moment
about.
in the game that actually was a really good moment for Akechi's character, and they took that away from them. This is the one time where they give something to Ren and it's all wrong.
like when at the boss battle at Futata's palace, I was kind of surprised that they removed the ship tease moment between Ren and Makoto, where he tackles her out of the way.
Like pushing that, and then you realize, oh, this is where they're pushing it for. They shove her down, and she's all crying, and he's just like, and then he says Akechi's line from the game, like, "You still believe in your sister, don't you?" And I'm just like,
her, right?
I'm just like, really.
It's
Yeah,
kind of,
like
it's kind of a bummer because I liked Sai's boss battle a lot, but part.
I know, but it was just like, Akechi has very few good moments, and you took away one of them.
Yeah, like one of the biggest problems is that Akechi doesn't have any actual connections or relationships to any of the characters except the forced one they try to have him with Ren. So then in Sai's Palace, when he doesn't he put his hand on Makoto's shoulder and
Yeah,
then
he puts his hand on her shoulder, and it would make sense that as much as a non-character Akechi feels like sometimes, as much as annoying he is and shoved in your face, it would make sense that it would be Akechi that tries to comfort her. He works with Sai. He's been working with her for the past 2 years. Like, so why wouldn't he be the one to... Like, that logically makes sense. As much as I can't stand his character, that makes sense.
Well, and the problem that we have with
I agreed with the Akechi, fanatics. I'm like, you made me agree with them that Akechi was Bob. You did that, anime. You made me...
Well, this is the problem that we
Yeah.
have with Akechi's character, is that he doesn't have much character, and that they try to force in sympathy. But like, if you just develop natural relationships with these characters and actually made him a character, then we would like him more. So having seen, if there were more scenes like that with Makoto, where he was friendly with Makoto, because that's actually something that when I rewrote Akechi's introduction, I added a scene of Makoto and Akechi being friends at the end, because that really helps flesh Akechi out as a character and makes him more likable. If they did more of that in the anime, I would absolutely be delighted. But now they're
but what
here.
did they do instead in the anime?
They cram him into every single instance they can. Like, just in the episodes I've watched, they've crammed him in so much. It's annoying, but they don't do anything with it. It's just, hey guys, here's Akechi.
There's a reason why the fandom says that the anime has an Akechi quota.
It does.
It
really does. It's
Like,
just it's like the same problem that like Harry Potter had. Fans had criticisms of the Harry Ginny romance, saying that it felt a little bit too forced. It needed a little bit more time to give it to room to develop instead of the last two books. It felt like very like Harry was just rebounding off of Cho. And so people were like, we wish that would be fixed. And then Half-Blood Prince was said, okay, let's give them more scenes. But they didn't fix any of that. They didn't have any chemistry. People were like, you didn't hear our criticisms. We didn't say, that's not what we meant when we said we needed more scenes. We meant more development. Like, it's not more.
Like, I remember there was a scene where Ginny just ties his shoes or something like that, right?
Well, there was where she goes out to help defend Harry against some Death Eaters. And her mom's just like, Ginny, no, and she goes, bring it. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen the Half-Blood Prince movie, and I'd rather not go see any of it.
Well, I remember watching that movie. It actually pushed a lot of the romance even further into the forefront than it was in the original story. And like, there's a lot of issues.
But it didn't do it right, and it feels like that was the same with Akechi. It's like, this is people's problems. We didn't have enough scenes with Akechi. No, we didn't have enough scenes of him actually developing a relationship with these characters. So when he betrays you, you should feel hurt. You should feel betrayed like the characters. You should feel shocked. Not, wow, that was obvious, so why should I care about this guy?
Yeah, and that's really one of the biggest problems is like, and I noticed this before because I was talking to y'all as I was watching these first few episodes, and I would point out every time they just forced Akechi in, and I'm like, why?
You're like dying.
Well, and there was even a point in like there was even a part of like, I don't know if it was episodes 4 or 5 where they literally just flash forward for no reason to when Akechi is talking to the Phantom Thieves. Like, but the entire team.
There's like Yusuke and Futaba and Sight, and it's like, wow, okay.
Yeah, like wait, what? And it doesn't even contextualize itself within the story. Like, this is all still in the.
Like, I feel like it fit better, like if it was near the end of Madarame's arc because it's introducing Akechi, but it's still.
Well,
I mean, Akechi is introduced before the Madarame arc.
Well, no, but this all takes place before the TV station, so even then, they're still cramming him in before his actual introduction.
Yeah.
And like even episode 5.
You didn't even get to the episode where Akechi's just seen eating a crepe or something.
Oh no, yeah, that was at the beginning. I was watching the beginning of episode.
I hated that scene so much. I was like, why?
Well,
why?
No, yeah, I remember
necessary?
That. I just saw that because I was watching the beginning of episode, I think it was 5, and it's just Akechi and having fangirls freak out over him, and him just acting like all fake and ha ha ha, and him eating whatever bread dessert thing.
And then you just want to take a crepe and shove it in his face.
Yeah, and I'm just like, yes. And like, okay, the problem is that we wanted more meaningful Akechi scenes. Having girls geek out over him and having him just go, haha, I love eating desserts. I'm like, that's not meaningful Akechi content.
No, it's like quality over quantity, guys.
And there was this shot of like him having cream all over his face, and I was like, this is so pandering.
It's so stupid. Oh my gosh. The other weird thing was the constant pushing of Makoto. The Persona 4 anime did not push for one romantic interest. There was one ship tease for Naoto, one ship tease for Chie, but mostly just ship teased Yukiko and Rise, but it didn't end up with really saying, yes, he prefers this girl or this girl. They make it very ambiguous about how you feels. So that way it's left up to everybody and nobody loses that way.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we didn't get any of Haru's
I know, like Haru has a crush on him, and they really push that Futaba's like a little sister to Ren, which I think that way too.
But it's not canon. It's not
It's
canon.
not, and it's kind of hinted at near the end of Futaba's it's not socially confidant that she has a crush on Ren. So why would she like treat Ren like an older brother? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, and
I'm
I
like,
mean,
again, I see them as a bro TP, but that's not how it is. Like in
Ren
Japan,
can romance
Futaba's the
Futaba.
most popular love interest. Why would you do that? Like, you're gonna piss off Futaba, like waifu fans from Japan.
Yeah, I saw some Futaba fans getting pissed at that.
Like, like, what are you doing? And it's all because of the directors, like, or somebody, one of the writers, I can't remember who. It's all because of Makoto was his favorite. I'm like,
Yeah, the director claims that An is his favorite, but
it sure doesn't feel like. It's just like, no. Like, you're supposed to be writing for all the fans, so you should be giving a ship tease to all the girls. Not some crappy Valentine thing.
Do you remember what you were talking about, like the meeting between Ron in the anime compared to the game?
Yeah, that bothered me too. I was recently thinking about it because of whenever you first meet on in the game, it's the music is really nice, the piano, and whenever like she pulls her hood off and then Ren's just blown away by this really beautiful girl. Like, obviously, because if she's very exotic looking, she's got very Caucasian features, despite being,
she's blonde.
3/4
That means
Japanese.
she's a Caucasian.
Well, a white girl.
A white girl.
Just get Junpei in there. Whoa, a white girl.
Yeah.
White. But this neither here nor there. But he's like obviously blown away. She's really pretty, and he's like is just staring at her, gawking. And then she turns and looks at him, but she just gives him a little smile. And it's like the first time somebody ever showed him a little bit of kindness, because the whole beginning of the game, he is just constantly beaten over by everybody. Like, not even Sojiro's going to cut him slack. And he's just kind of like, you see him like when he's just sitting under all alone, how like miserable he looks. And then that little smile, and suddenly, like, even though he's curious and awestruck by her, there's like a little bit of glimmer in his eyes again. It's very subtle, but it's really nice to show like, oh, this one small act of kindness kind of like gave some light in his life again. And then he meets Ryuji, and then, he gets more light in his life because, he's making friends, and the friends heal him. But in the anime, Anne, like in the game, Anne doesn't look dead inside until she gets in that car with Kamoshida. And it's supposed to be very striking to let you know narratively, ooh, there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
But in the anime, she's just dead inside the whole time. She looks at him with that same expression. And yes, it's cute when she pulls the flower petal off his head and he kind of has that awestruck moment like, oh, MG, pretty girl touching me. But she still looks like, where's her smile? Like, the big key part of that scene was not that Anne is pretty, it was Anne's smile. Because of the smile was the important thing. It's like someone showing him an act of kindness. Instead, it changes to where Anne is no longer the first person to be nice to him, but Ryuji.
Wait, what were you saying, Julie?
I feel like the writers missed the intent of the meeting, so they changed it to and the focus.
It's not that Anne is pretty, it's that she was nice to him. Gosh freaking dang it.
I mean, I think there's a lot of the stuff that the people involved in the Persona 5 anime just did not understand about the game.
It really feels like that. Like, and the way they pander is wrong. And it's frustrating because there are good ideas. Like the little, like the cute, like that's cute where she pulls the petal off his head. That's cute, but you should have kept the smile. And like there's other good things. Like
one thing that I noticed that really struck me was when they first go into the metaverse, the animators added fog, which actually ties us a lot towards the TV world in Persona 4 because fog was very important there.
Yeah, the metaverse is very similar to the TV verse. Yeah, TV world, TV verse.
Yeah. So, but like, it's obviously like the same thing, but like a different version. But that's a nice little touch of detail that they added. That's not in the game. I'm like, this. Yeah, that's such a good idea.
There's other good stuff too. Like what I liked is because of the anime is a more visual medium. It's not like the games. You'll notice it like whenever he's hanging out, Like, whenever he's talking to Sojiro, it's very clear when Sojiro is being hard on Ren in the anime, you don't see Ren's eyes at all. You just see the white of the glasses. And so whenever he then meets, like, Anne and Ryuji and Morgana, like, you'll notice key scenes where Ren, like, his eyes are still white, but whenever his friends start talking to him, suddenly you can see his eyes. And that's, like, a really cool visual medium to say that, yes, he's making friends, and because, you know, eyes are the window to the soul, so you can now finally see his eyes again. And it's like, okay, he's not dead inside anymore. They're kind of giving him life. If only his character had life.
Well, another thing that I noticed is when he's first being introduced to the class, all of a sudden he starts hearing them, and they chose to change it so that the class is the first time he heard other students talk about him being a delinquent and having a record, which I like that, because then when he gets a reaction like, wait, how do they know? And then he starts hearing this, and then it cuts to Mishima. I'm like, that was beautiful. Because Mishima's the one who Kamoshida forced to expose Ren's record online. So, but it's just a very quick reaction from Mishima that they show, and I'm like, yes, it's very subtle, and it doesn't make sense until you learn later that Mishima is the person who's responsible for this. I'm like,
that's a lot of good ideas.
Yeah, and that pissed me off, because every time I would see something like, wow, that was good, then 5 seconds later something stupid would happen. I'm like, no.
I know, it did that a lot.
I remember a discussion about, like, how Anne is, like, lies about them gossiping, and the anime interpreted it as Ren lying about why he's late. But wasn't it more about how the rumors?
No, it was lies about why he was late. And because of she met him, so she met him on the way to school. So she's like, "That's clearly a lie. How are you not feeling well? I just saw you underneath that hood." Like, so that's why she's just like, lies. Like, you're clearly lying. She was onto you because she just met you. She knows you're not sick, or we're helping family, or whatever the excuse was. I think it was sick. Yeah, he wasn't feeling well.
Yeah, he wasn't feeling well. That's the same in the game and the anime. I double checked.
Yeah, and then that's why Anne's like, that's a lie, because she just saw him. So she knows that that's BS. I just saw you, dude.
Yeah, but they also, that whole scene where he talks to Anne and she talks to him about Kamoshida, they completely cut out all of the really good stuff from it. Like, she talks to him about...
we were just talking about that actually earlier.
Yeah, like, she says specifically, like, how she's feeling lonely, but then she noticed that he's probably lonely too, having moved in, so she's thinking, like, this might be why it was so easy to talk to him, and she even points out how she knows what it's like to have people talk about her behind her back, so she knows... She figured that a lot of the whole delinquent and violent acts that she'd heard about him...
it was a cute moment in the game.
Yeah, it's just like, she's like, I figured that... Because she asks him about that, like... are the rumors true? She's like, I figured they were.
I remember, because in the game, you and I immediately picked, she's like, so is it rumors true about you? And then we picked the option where Ren says, I'm bad at the bow. I picked that one too. And then, of course, she's laughing, and she's like, I knew that. She's like, okay. Like, I knew that they were tall. I'm just like, yeah, that was cute in the game. Why is he so dead inside in the anime?
Yeah, and that's... Just it's frustrating seeing a lot of this stuff, because when you see how well the Persona 4 anime handled adapting the game, and you see the Persona 5 anime just bungle almost everything.
It's very lazily made. Lazily made. Like, they don't make effort in the right places.
Oh, and the pacing in the Persona 4 anime is so good. How everything just keeps building and building to each red herring, where you think, yes, this is it.
Like, I can think of 4 episodes where it's just dedicated to Confidant. And I think there may be more. And I think...
Well, and another thing I noticed, you want to talk about them skipping stuff in the Persona 5 anime, they completely skip discussing calling cards. They don't explain the calling cards at all. They just skip to, alright, they already sent the calling card to Kamoshida. I'm like, wait, what? And then afterwards, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, we just sent a calling card. I'm like, no! You didn't even explain what this was for!
Okay, I can't remember, because it's been a while since I've seen it, because I just recently rewatched what I missed, because if I stopped watching the Persona 5 anime. Tim, do they completely miss out on the conversation that if they cause him, like, take his desires, that he could potentially have a mental shutdown?
They do mention, like, Morgana mentions that, but I don't believe Anne was involved in that conversation at all.
Well, she wasn't involved in all at the beginning either, because this was before
Well,
Anne joined the team.
yeah, but I don't remember them actually discussing this with her at all, even when they were going to do it, like when she joins the team.
No. I'm saying in the game, when Morgana had this conversation, Anne wasn't present either in the game.
Yeah, this was right before Shiho jumped, I believe.
Yes, it was. Like, in the game, whenever he's telling them about stealing a treasure, he's explaining it because Ryuji at that point has his persona, so they're all agreeing. Because that's when Morgana just barely... That's when they pull Morgana up to the roof, because I think that's when Morgana reveals himself as a cat at that point in the game.
Yeah, I remember.
In the real world.
I remember Morgana does talk to him.
Where Morgana showed up as a cat.
Yeah, Morgana just shows up as a cat in the school, and he's like, by the way, I'm here in the anime.
Yeah, and then they grab him, and they're like, we need to go somewhere else to talk. And then that's when they go to the roof. Because they were discussing this on the roof.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, that happens in the game, but in the anime, he just sits there and they just chat, like, out in
the
But
they don't mention, because it was a very key pivotal moment for Ryuji's character, because he hates Kamoshida, but he's like, but I don't want to kill him.
Yeah.
No, I think that was in the anime, but it was truncated. It was a shorter conversation where he's like, yeah, if we steal his desires, he could suffer a mental shutdown and die. And then Ryuji's like, well, I mean, I don't want him to die. And I think that was kind of at the end of the scene.
Because I remember that was really well done, because it really shows you Ryuji's morals as a character. Like, it doesn't matter how much he hates a person, like, he's not willing to cross that line and kill somebody.
Well, it's basically...
Kamoshida's very personal to him.
Yeah.
Basically
like,
they
what
achieve...
bugs me? Sorry, go ahead, Tim.
So just basically they achieve the same results, but the game does it so much better, it's not even funny.
Oh, yeah. Not even kidding. The game is so quality. Except for Akechi.
Like, I feel like they should have dedicated a little more time to Kamoshida's arc, because this is where you're introduced to all the mechanics and such. Like, you need time to explain it, or else the audience will be really confused.
It's fine if you wanted to condense it, but what they should have done is, like, taken an episode to be, like, the exposition episode. Like, he meets with Iwai to get the weapons. He meets with Takemi to get the medicine and stuff like that. And then Morgana explains maybe, like, you could take instead that scene on the roof where he's, like, explaining the concept of stealing a treasure. You could have saved that for whenever he's explaining it to all three of them, and you could have Anne present. And wouldn't that be really interesting to see Anne's reaction to, hey, if we do this, he could die. And Ryuji's like, well, I don't want to kill him. And just, like, cut and have Anne's, like, really, like, you know, she's obviously conflicted because a part of her really doesn't give a crap if he dies or not. Like, wouldn't that be interesting to show? You know, there's a lot of interesting things you could do.
Like, at the last minute, on Mrs. Kamoshida, after they... I thought that was a really cool detail, because after you contrast it with Akechi and how he doesn't care.
Wait, what scene?
Remember whenever in the game, whenever she's given the option, like, they're just like, he's like, do you want to finish him off? It's your call. And then Anne just, like, Carmen just lights up, and Anne's ready to throw fireballs at him, and then Ryuji and Red are just like, they're obviously surprised, and Ryuji's just like, oh no, and then, like, but the fireballs miss him. And she's just like, you know, just like, no, like, if he dies, then he can't repent for what he's done, like, and confess to his crimes.
Yeah,
and it's, like, really intense. Like, you almost think for a second she was actually going to kill him.
Yeah, like, they kind of do that in the anime, but then they don't really show the attack against him. It's just kind of... like I said, it's the same result, but it's done worse. Because they shorten all of these scenes so much, where they just kind of skip over dialogue. It's frustrating.
I also had a problem with how Kamoshida confessed in the anime. He felt very emotionless, while in the game he was a lot more emotional.
He was crying!
He was like, oh my god, what have I done?
Well, yeah, because it's like, as Morgana says, it's essentially because of, you'll notice how, like, between each calling card, they describe as one of the 7 deadly sins. So, like, it's literally like you're stealing a person's sins. So they're left with the person they used to be before they became distorted and corrupt with their power. So the person they used to be would obviously be mortified at what they've become. It's like time travel without the time traveling, but like you're hitting the reset button on a person like you would like in a computer that's been like completely like overtaken by bugs. And it's just like, and then suddenly the program has to look at what it's become, and it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, well, speaking of Kamoshida, it's something that bugged me in the anime because they still keep the whole thing about the sexual assault against the female volleyball students, but they cut down all of the mentions of that down to like 1 or 2 lines. Like they don't even mention that he raped Shiho or even imply it. In fact, when Mishima is talking about it,
technically they didn't mention he raped Shiho in the game. They never said the words.
no, but the
I raped
implication
her.
is much
But
stronger.
but the implication is so strong. It's pretty much saying it without saying the actual word of rape. Because if it's very quite clear that he was propositioning Anne, and he says like in no certain terms, I had her take your place, which it's very easy to infer what she was, what he did to her.
And even with
Like,
Mishima,
it's not hard to read between the lines.
Yeah, it's not hard to read
and
between
Mishima
lines in
said,
the game.
"What you did to that girl, that wasn't coaching."
Well,
and it's just like, oof.
Well, and even then, he's specific when Mishima is talking about Shiho when he was told to send her in. He said he realized that he must have done something worse than usual to her. Because it's like yes, because and then when they're in the palace, they see a lot of those cognitions of the female volleyball team, and they're all like these weird sex slaves, and they're like creeped out because this is how Kamoshida sees them. All that stuff is completely absent in the anime.
The shrine. There was that shrine, that really creepy shrine to Shiho. Like in the library. In the game, at least.
Yeah, and they cut out so much of that stuff. They only show one of the torture chambers for one of the male volleyball players, and him getting hit over and over. And
wasn't that implied to be Mishima, at least in the anime?
No, it wasn't implied. It wasn't implied in the anime.
Oh, okay.
It was just it looked like a random student.
Oh, that would have been so much more powerful if that was Mishima.
Yeah, and this is another one of those things. It's like, yeah, they cut down a lot of these implications with Kamoshida. I'm like, yeah, except this is the stuff that makes him such a vile, despicable person. So when you're effectively whitewashing him and then going, oh yeah, by the way, after the fact, we're going to say, oh yeah, he was sexually assaulting students. Oh, now you mention this?
Though I feel that the scene where Kamoshida is like kind of attacking Shiho, like I feel like it does fill in some lines, but it's not enough.
Well, no, and he's only hitting her.
Then it feels like he was only hurting Shiho.
Yeah.
And Mishima. Like, okay, that's not the rest of the volleyball team, though.
Yeah, it's like the problem is that they cut down so much on what Kamoshida did because the game spent so much time building up all of the horrible things.
Like all the students you had to interrogate, and I get that you can't have that because like in the Persona 4 anime you had to do that. No, not the Persona 4 anime. The game, you had a lot of moments where you had to question people to help like Rise get a better picture to find somebody. Like whenever you had to find Naoto, you had to you had to run around and talk to a lot of people. Whereas they really heavily condensed that in the anime to like we really were. I think it was you were just talking to. Maybe it was the people at the beef bowl shop. Was it Aika and them?
No, not. Wait. The beef bowl shop.
Because it really, you only talked to one person in the Persona 4 anime, and then it was like, oh, okay, I think I got a clearer picture of Naoto now.
Wait, the beef. I don't remember this.
I don't know. Tim and I recently rewatched it, but like they heavily like cut that, a lot of the backtracking that you do in the game. Because in the game you have to backtrack a lot, like when you have to look for kanji. Like, all of them, like, to know... Because at first, it's like, before Rise, it's like, Teddy needs to, like, get a better idea of how to help you find someone, and then it's Rise needs to get a better idea of how to help find someone. And it's the same with the Dachi, too. Like, when she needs help and she can't do it, then you need Teddy. Like, the anime cuts out a lot of fluff, but still keeps in, like, the urgency of, like, we need to, like, hunt information down. Like, so it feels like they're actually investigating. Because they are the investigation team.
Yeah.
But in the Persona 5 anime, it's like when they're supposed to be investigating because they're trying to... Because the whole thing is the reason they became the Phantom Thieves is they can't do this the same way the Persona 4 kids do it. They can't investigate because you can't bring these people to the cops. It's not working like that. They have to do these new methods and it's not working. So you have to show the hopelessness of the situation. and like why they realize they have no other option but to do Morgana's option.
Yeah,
None of the kids are going to
It
squeal.
kind of hammered in how much of a grip Kamoshida had on the school.
Yeah.
Right, because he
the
was.
students were just so scared to speak out because their parents wouldn't care and the authorities wouldn't care.
Well, and something
Like-
is that they really kind of skimmed over the principal covering things up, at least as far as I watched. It's just like they didn't really talk about that because that's a big sticking point for against the principal. Because he knew about this stuff but was still covering it up.
I will say, while the anime also skipped over a bit with Madarame too, one thing they did do right is, and it bothered me because a lot of people didn't realize how despicable it was. They're like, well, all he did was steal art. I'm like, no, because in the game, people don't pay attention. Like, you can actually meet NPCs that are very, but they're like these homeless people who are Yusuke's age, who are saying like, if they didn't paint, they would get thrown out. But they wouldn't say Madarame's name. But it's very obviously because they would say, if I didn't paint what he wanted, like, and then I was no use to him, and he sent me, and it's just like, oh geez. The anime did do one thing right, like showing that flashback of Yusuke as a child, like in Madarame's lap as he's learning how to paint, and Madarame's like, and it's a happy memory, and then suddenly that happy memory is super over this maniacal shadow that's laughing in his face, telling him how he never meant anything to him. And Yusuke breaks down into tears, and I was just like, ooh, like, oh, that's like twisting the knife all in your movie. And I was like, okay, good anime. You need more moments like.
Yeah, that's such a big problem with the Persona 5 anime is that you'll see these amazing ideas and then they bungle up something massively important later. You're like, no, stop.
And the flashbacks with like Haru and little baby fan of.
I wish we got Ryuji in
flashback. Okay. I think we can both agree though, like for both anime, music,
Yeah, like the intro and the outro songs for the Persona 5 anime are great.
The intro songs,
The anime songs are always amazing for Persona.
Very first one for the Persona 4 anime, I have it on. And then the ending theme, Beauty of Destiny. I love that for Persona 4.
I remember you commenting that you were disappointed when you changed the song.
But I was talking about how the Persona 4 anime, like, the very first intro, Beauty of Destiny, how it's really, like, it fits the music perfectly, the theme with the Persona 4 game. I've shown you all the intros.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it's like, it's really nice. The visuals are great. The static of the TV, of, like, on all the people around you, it's really cool. And the song is really good, and it gets you hyped. And the ending theme, Beauty of Destiny, is really good, too. And it's got good old Lotus Juice.
Yeah.
I think you're talking about Sky's the Limit for the intro, right?
Yes, I love Sky's the Limit. I love it a lot.
I remember you talking about the songs being changed for the second half of the anime. You're like, no, it's gone.
Yeah, it's not as good as Sky's the Limit. But I do, one of the key visuals I love about the Persona 4 anime, the second opening, is when everything else is static-y.
When you look through the glasses.
You see the glasses, and everything's clear through the glasses, despite everything else looking like static of a TV around the glasses. And I was like, okay, that's a really cool visual.
I think the second intro is called
Yeah. It's not as good as Sky's the Limit. It's not as memorable. But it's still good. It's just okay. But Break In to Break Out, beautiful song. When I was talking about how beautiful Break In to Break Out was.
Yeah, that is a great song.
And how, if you ever, Tim, you need to listen to the full version of it. Because of Lynn, the singer for the Persona 5 game.
Yeah.
Like, she has this part where she belts in the whole, like, the full version of Break In to Break Out. And she's just like, ah! Like, it is like, it's like a black choir lady just, like, belting it. And I'm like, you go, little Japanese girl, you go. Belt that.
There's a reason why I bought the DLC for P4tA for Break In to Break Out. So good.
It's such a good song. And the visuals actually really complement it well, too. But Dark Sun is, the next level. is what I was talking about earlier, Tim. I don't know if I got cut out. I hope I didn't. I'm not as ooh.
Yeah.
But oh gosh, Dark Sun. Like Julie, you remember how hyped I was when I saw that?
Yeah, like the Dark Sun, like it didn't start out with a proper intro until like the last 2 episodes, I believe.
Oh,
And
but it was
I
such
watched
good.
the intro of Dark Sun and I was like blown.
It's amazing. The visuals, the music. It's like every second of it. It is gorgeous. It's like everything I would want in the Persona 5 anime, and then it goes to the Persona 5 anime.
Yeah, this is one of those awful problems of like anime that have amazing openings, but the anime sucks.
Oh, it's just and then when you listen to the full version of Dark Sun, like I have it on my phone. Oh my gosh, it like literally I get goosebumps listening to it. Oh, it's so good. It's just Persona 5 is such good music. And the anime's 2 intro songs are no exception. It fits right with the games. So good.
And
Why?
this again makes the
Yeah,
Persona
let's
5
redo
anime
this.
such a pain because you can tell there are so many good things in it, but then there are more bad things. And like,
It's like 1 step forward,
like
5 steps backward.
yeah.
basically the bad ideas smother the good ideas.
Yeah.
It really did.
Well, like one of the
like,
things that I noticed in one of the episodes in the Kamashita Palace is when they incorporate like the interrogation aspect, like when they need to get that one piece of the eye for the statue to get to the treasure, and they cut out a lot of the stuff of getting to that, and then they incorporate that shadow that has it,
The pixie.
Yeah, the pixie, and then they have Ren. Like they talk to her and she ends up like deciding that she wants to like stick with them. And I'm like,
Well,
I like
to be
that.
fair, that's whenever Ren's wild card ability was first revealed in the game, and it is kind of really funny because then Morgana. Now, granted, it's when you're trying to shake her down because Morgana is saying, "Hey, you have any items?" And she's like, "Well, no." And it's like, "Hey, you have any money?" She's like, "Well, no." And they're like, "Well, I guess we'll just kill you." And she's like, "Wait, no." And then suddenly she's like, now that I think about it, you're pretty impressive and blah, 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 blah. And then she's like, "I suddenly realized something. I am this, I am that, blah, 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 blah." And Morgana's like, "Wait, what's going on?" And then suddenly, she just like goes into Ren's mask. And then Morgana's just like, "What the? Did you? What?" Like, but it feels weird doing it at that part.
Like it should have been like earlier on during it.
Well,
Yeah,
like this is what we were talking about with
when his wild card ability was revealed.
Well, it's like, yeah, now that I think about it, I forgot about that part in the game, so that's still better than what it was done in the anime. But this is what we were talking about, how they needed to spend like an entire episode going over and introducing stuff before they get to like continuing the palace for Kamashita, because they skip over so much stuff.
Well, yeah. See, the funny thing is the very first dungeon you go into in the Persona 4 game is Yukiko's castle. But you cover a lot of stuff in the very beginning that the Persona 4 anime actually encapsulates that well. Like, because they covered the whole Chie section and the Yukiko section, but they took their time while still breezing through a lot of stuff. And it felt very natural, part of the storytelling.
It also makes more sense because the Persona 4 dungeons, they're more like dungeons.
Yeah, I know that, but it's like it still found a way to tell it without making everything feel like it was too fast paced and too rushed. It felt almost natural to tell it in that order.
Yeah.
I really like the backstory of Chie and Yukiko because I think the whole dog story, like, it's not mentioned until the social.
Yeah, but it's so cute. Like how they had that flashback of Chie and Yukiko meeting as children. Like, that was really well done.
Like, you can really feel the bond between the two.
Yeah, their friendship.
Why Chie wants to save her so badly.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
I've described them as a better Orihime and Tatsuki
From Bleach, yeah.
Has described it.
Because it's exactly
like it literally is though. It's like a much better version of those characters. Like if those characters were actually treated with respect. Kubo.
Isn't Tatsuki kind of shoved in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they did a really good job making you really feel for Yukiko and Chie with regard, and especially when you when they get to their shadows and their feelings about. And it's weird because they both have very similar feelings towards each other, where they kind of admired the other and felt they were
Yeah,
kind of.
they were jealous of the other while also having a very codependent friendship over like to an unhealthy degree, but because of this, because they were hiding these aspects of themselves and the two friends could see this side of each other, the two friends could move past that, and then their friendship evolved into something really healthy and organic and beautiful.
Yeah.
It was really well done. And then you have the Persona 5 anime.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it was nice that Anne visited Shiho in the hospital.
Oh yeah, I mean, I like those. Those were
I
really
also
short
like the
scenes, but
detail where she starts crying when Shiho wakes up. I thought that was a
Yeah, I think that's because that's not in the game.
yeah, that I remember that. That was like right after the stuff with Kamoshida, and then then Anne gets the notice that Shiho was woken up, and then it
Yeah,
shows her.
that's nice. But then they also had the moment where Anne abandoned Shiho to Kamoshida.
Yeah.
Fans rightly ripped that apart. Like, even people who hate Anne were like, what the hell? Like, even they were like, what? Like, that's not what Anne would do.
I feel the writers just didn't get their characters.
No, they did not. Like, they seem to forget that Ryuji had depth to him. He's not just the dum-dum.
Yeah.
They seem to forget that there's more to Makoto than just waifu.
Yeah, like they actually had a
completely-
chance to fix some of this stuff. Like they could have actually delved a little bit more into Makoto and her relationship with her dad and how she.
Like they touched a
Yeah.
little bit on it in her confidant episode, but it's really just,
But the fact that Makoto has a
Like,
confidant episode.
Yeah. And it's such a disservice to Makoto, too. It's like you're not shilling her in all the right ways, you know?
Yeah, and
I
unfortunately.
like Makoto.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, they could have done better because her social link is kind of dull in the game. It doesn't really suit her. But, like, they could have done something better in the anime.
And the other characters, and just,
What other characters?
Like
It's
her
just
and-
Makoto
well,
and Akechi.
Yusuke's introduction, I think, was probably handled the best in the anime. Like, honestly, like, I think he was handled pretty well. He then just kind of peters out after that. And people accuse the game of doing that, which I'm like, no, it doesn't. I've played it 7.5 times. You all are full of garbage. but it's just like, that's how it is in the anime, though. A lot of them just kind of peter out into the background where, like, even Ren feels like a background character.
sometimes he just feels like a
Like, then suddenly this became the Makoto and Akechi show. And they don't even have Makoto and Akechi interact. You're gonna make them the focus. What the frick?
Aaron, do you remember that how they decided to make chess Akechi and Ren's thing?
Yes! Oh my gosh! Ugh,
What is
the
this,
chess
Code
piece.
Geass?
Yeah, kinda.
Like, so there was an episode focusing on
It's just no.
Yusuke's
But like,
confidant.
No, wait. What are you saying, Julie?
There was an episode focusing on Yusuke's confidant, but they kind of like have Akechi come in and say, hey, help me with this case, and they somehow like smush the two plot points together.
What?
And then they continue with Ren and Akechi's friendship, and they have the
friendship in air.
Yeah, I was doing air quotes too.
Bye, Yusuke. Like
They keep shoving Akechi in really like in Futaba's. No, not even Futaba's. Soko's. Like when the uncle like comes and he like tries to assault like Futaba, and like Ren jumps in front of her, and they randomly have Akechi show up, which I guess technically that would work if Akechi was
we've talked about this before about if like it would have made Akechi much more sympathetic if he felt guilt for killing Wakaba, and like if he was trying to help Futaba out because he felt guilty over that, then I would absolutely accept him being incorporated into that story. But they don't do that.
That's not what they did. It's just
I will say that
just
they
pandering.
did the bastard reveal better in the anime because because he's like relating to Futaba's childhood.
Yeah.
Not great, but
There's so much wrong. I will
Like, I
say
feel-
one thing that the anime did do right is the resolution to the Morgana fight.
yeah, that one was good. Like, I don't like that
I'm
arc.
one of the few people that did not hate that because I disagree with people. I don't think there was anything objectively wrong with that scene. It was consistent with Morgana's character and it was consistent with Ryuji's character. They always fight like, well, a cat and a dog, to be quite frank with you. But it's the problem with it is not the fighting itself. The problem is not with how Morgana handled the situation. That is consistent with Morgana. The problem is not with even Ryuji. That is consistent with Ryuji. The problem is how it was resolved, because if they didn't have Ryuji sincerely apologize, and they didn't have Morgana act like, even though Morgana kind of was apologizing and was saying how he really does want to live with everybody and stay there forever, and have him be actually honest with his feelings, you didn't really quite get that same feeling. It just like, whereas in the anime, Morgana breaks down crying when he says he wants to stay with them. That's actually more contrite. That feels more contrite, more honest. And Ryuji sincerely apologizes and says that, like, he's like, no, you're a friend, Morgana. And I'm like, no, that was better. So even though they didn't really change anything with the argument, all they needed to do was fix the resolution. That was really the only problem.
It really bothered me when Ryuji seemed like he was being forced by everyone else to apologize.
Well, no, see, it made sense at that part because Ryuji didn't feel like he did anything wrong. And that's fine. And it wasn't until, like, later on all the other crap happened, like in the anime, it's the same thing. Like, Ryuji didn't feel like he did anything wrong. Then all that crap happened, and Ryuji's like, no, I kind of was being a jerk. Like they both did a wrong. They both needed to own up to it, and they both did. That's all you needed to do was just fix the resolution. It was not the cause, but it was the effect that needed fixing. And the anime actually did that. And it was actually really good. And then you remember the rest of the anime exists.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember...
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No. You go ahead, Julie.
Hey, hang on. I'm going to mute. 1 second. I hear people calling my name.
Okay. So basically, it really bothers me that we got two extra OVAs.
I'm sorry.
Two OVAs that were basically fluff, when we could have had that added to the plot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the Valentine's OVA, it's not as offensive to me, but like it's just basically fluff with random.
Sorry about that. That's the habit of living with other people.
No, yeah, I absolutely agree.
P4tA Justice, like, I really wanted to have that in a lot of parts.
Well, yeah, this is the problem. Is like, I would have rather had them just add those 2 episodes to the length of the show, and give
which
us...
2 episodes? Sorry, since
okay,
I was
we're talking about the OVA episodes and how they, instead of having OVAs, they could have just had a 28 episode anime, and then they could just
okay. So I still did not watch the OVA. Julie, how bad is it?
Basically, it's just Ren wandering around trying to find proof of justice that Akechi wrote into a crossword, and he ran. And it's like showing like them hanging out, and it just feels so paranoid.
Did they ever show the final battle?
They did. Like they had 2. You know how like the anime ended with the bad ending?
Yeah, where Akechi shoots Ren.
Yeah, and then they jump to Dark Sun, and it covers the Shido's palace, and then the second one, I think it's called The Stars and Us, and it covers the fight with Yaldi. I can't pronounce his real name.
Yeah, that's why I call him Yaldi.
Like, I can type it fine, but I can't pronounce it.
Yeah, it's like, whatever, frick, you're Yaldi. See, that's what I was wondering, because I'll see a lot of gift sets of, like, the Shido fight and stuff like that, but then I realized I never saw any gift sets for the final battle. What the frick?
It was bad, that's why.
Oh, man.
Like, you know how in the Persona 4 anime, they have the characters' personas evolve at the last moment during the final battle?
Yeah, when they're fighting a Monosigiri.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have that here. They didn't have... They kept the initial persona.
That's so dumb.
And I remember being really confused by why my lady only used gun attacks because she also has
Yeah,
psych
she's got
attacks.
the psych attacks.
Yeah. I was like, why are they only doing gun
Because
attacks?
isn't psych and nuclear like new to Persona 5?
I believe it was like in one of the older games.
Yeah, because I remember it not being in Golden. Because when
It
I played
wasn't.
Golden.
And
But it's
curse and bless attacks were only like instant.
yeah. But it's like they're really cool, and that's specifically her persona that the only one in your party that can use it.
I was like, you can shoot guns. Why do you keep having her shoot gun attacks?
I guess they want to show off how funny her persona is, how the dress opens up and there's a bunch of cannons in it.
I guess.
Which, yeah, that was funny the first time, and even Ryuji's like, holy crap! But it's like every time, it kind of kills the fun.
Though her strength is a bit higher than her magic, but not like overly so. If you compare like Yusuke's strength magic,
Yeah,
strength or magic,
it's just
like
a
why
lot.
not have her interchange it?
Yeah. I will say I did like how they showed the kids having fun at the beach and having fun at Hawaii in the anime. Because that is
And
one
a
complaint.
bit
People felt
more
like the kids needed to have more fun.
Yeah.
But it's like for every 2 good ideas, they have 6 terrible ones.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I remember seeing is that now correct me if I'm wrong on this because I never actually saw this part. I've only seen some clips, but I saw clips of Kawakami like trying to offer Ren her extra services, and
Yeah, I think that's the case. I honestly
Oh,
didn't wasn't huge on
Ren
that
was in the
episode.
middle of making tools, and she was offering other services, and he was kind of ignoring her. And he was offering cleaning services, but then she was offering her massage services, and he was kind of ignoring her. And I think they were trying to play it off as a joke of like she was annoyed at being ignored. The problem is they drew her giving him bedroom eyes.
yeah, like I saw that. I'm like, this is one, it's creepy. Two, this is
Well, yeah,
completely
like
out of
as
character for
she's
Kawakami.
like massaging like his shoulder with her elbow. Now it's supposed to like be funny. Like here she's like, "Hey, stop ignoring me. I'm talking to you." But she's giving him creepy bedroom eyes while she's like shoving her elbow in his shoulder. It's like,
Well, yeah, and I remember seeing her going like, "Oh, I can offer you some special services," and then that's when he has her like clean laundry or something. But I'm like, I guess you're trying to do a joke, but this is out of character for Kawakami, who in the game specifically said she would never offer him anything more than a massage.
yeah, and I think the joke was when she was special services because she was trying to massage his shoulder. I think she was trying to say a massage,
I remember
but
the implication being much more than that. From what
I know, like I said, I don't know if the implication is she meant massage and he took it the other way and that's why he shoved her to go do laundry because that weirded him out. Or if she actually meant that and he shoved her to go do laundry because of like that weirded him out.
yeah,
The first one at least is, oh, it's just he misunderstood her. The second one is like, why are we having her act like Kamashita?
yeah,
What the
like
frick?
that's what really pissed me off. I'm like, okay, yeah, but you had an entire arc about a teacher getting into sexual relations with students using their position of power. And I'm like, okay, yes, just because she's the maid in this doesn't change the fact that she's an adult woman who's also his teacher. And the game makes a point of going, yeah, she doesn't do that, at least until they stupidly
Yeah,
allow
she
her to be
like
a
literally says
romance.
whenever
But
she
like,
first suspects you as a high schooler, she doesn't know it's you, by the way. But she says, "I'll give you those other services when you're a bit matured a bit more." Like, so she's saying, like, wait until after you've graduated, kid. It's like I'm not gonna
But
do a
honestly,
minor.
I think that was like pandering to the Kawakami fans because they're she has
Yeah, I
quite a
get it.
bit.
I get it.
but
She's
as someone who
waifu.
is a Kawakami fan, I was kind of disgusted by that because I love seeing because she very much becomes like a mother figure to Ren. So when they put her in like these sexual and romantic, situations with her and Ren, I'm like, no, stop.
Like, ew. He's like 17. What's wrong with you? Ugh. Heck, he's 16 at the beginning of the game. He's like 17 over the course of it, but like, come on. What the frick?
Yeah, and
I get
this
he's very Bishonen, but
well,
like, ew.
well, it's like again, this is the talking about them pandering, but in the entirely wrong ways.
Like know your audience first off.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, I get it. Akechi's popular, but know your audience. Like, actually make Akechi appealing to not just them, but even people who would like to like Akechi. I would like to like him. I don't, but I would like to.
Yeah, I mean, when I rewrote when I wrote my Akechi fic, I actually had someone who was an Akechi fan who found it, and they at first were going to get mad at me over it, and then they realized they actually liked my approach better to writing
I know, they were
character.
like, I can't be mad at you.
Yeah, and I'm like, yes, you see, if you write Akechi good, you're going to get you're going to make his fans happy because they'll take anything Akechi, and then you're going to make people who didn't like him, or at least anyone who's reasonable, you'll have them go, oh yeah, I like seeing Akechi as a good character.
Like, you can. You have to put in effort, but you can do both. You can make
Like, I
you
can
can make
see
as
the
many
anime
people
was
happy.
trying to make Akechi better, but they went about it.
They were lazy,
Aaron,
is
do
what
you
they
remember
were.
the way he like threw a chess piece at Ren right before they were taking?
Yeah, he like tosses it to
treasure?
him, and you're trying to make it all. Yeah, we're friends. Like, no, you're not. Stop it. Stop it. It's this is even cringier than the game.
Because the game doesn't pretend like they're all buddy.
Yeah, now at least
I
not
mean,
until
it
the
kind of
very
does at
end.
the end, but
Yeah, at least it's
Well, during
only
the confidant day, really.
Yeah. You know, I like the idea that like Akechi would ask Ren to help him with like a case, and that'll be like some side story. I can totally dig that idea, but like,
or even like whenever he hangs out with Ren to play baseball, or like to go eat something, or to even play a game of chess. Because if he likes how there's someone who's not a sycophant and just like sucks up to every little thing he says because he's famous, like I can see that. Like he appreciates that there's somebody who's bluntly honest with him and doesn't really care, and he doesn't like care about him at all, and is just like, nah. Like, in fact, I even kind of find you annoying. I feel like and a more interesting approach to Akechi would be like, wow, that's so refreshing. Let me hang out with you. And it's like, what?
yeah. Well, I mean, we've talked about this before with writing Akechi as being like genuinely dorky and socially awkward. It's like, but they try to make him suave and cool all the time, and that comes off as more fake than his attitude. Like, no, like the idea of him being like that he's been trying to be this like detective for so long that he hasn't actually been able to socialize properly, so he doesn't know how to talk to people his age. I like that
and
idea.
suddenly when he's with people's age, he's like, how do you do, fellow teenagers?
He's like, why are you doing this? Because you are a teenager.
Like, he could potentially be like a really funny and tragic character. And whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and what really pisses me off is they handled this entire thing with Adachi so much better.
Oh my gosh, Adachi is so well done, even in the anime. And Vanilla, like this is based off the Vanilla version of Persona 4, so you don't even have Golden, where he's like even more expanded as a character. Like Adachi, oh gosh, I cannot get over how well they adapted Adachi.
Well, and I mean, I know you said this before, Aaron, but literally for the last decade, I've known Adachi as the villain of Persona 4 because it's been a meme since the game came out. So long before I even knew what Persona was, I knew that Adachi was the villain. Especially because of all the Him Daisy comics.
Luke, I am your father. It's not a spoiler anymore. Or Snape killed Dumbledore. Yeah. Everyone knows that.
Yes, but when I was watching the Persona 4 anime, I remember for a lot of times I would forget he was the villain. Just because of how well he's written and how well he acts. And it wasn't really until the part...
he's so, like, bumbling and dorky, and you kind of are laughing at him, and you're like, oh, okay, this is like the dorky uncle character, and you laugh, and then suddenly you stop and you're like, wait a minute, this is the serial killer. You have to keep reminding yourself that.
Yeah,
I forgot like several times.
So even the anime really handles that well.
Like, we already knew the plot twist.
But it still kind of comes and hits you in the face because you get so attached to Adachi as a character.
It's so good.
And we could have had that with Akechi. It's like they were clearly going for an Adachi style character, but then they just tried to force him in so much. It's like,
gosh,
and at
I appreciate Persona 4 anime.
And at the end of Persona 4, all the characters in the investigation team call him out as the nihilistic douchebag that he is. But then Akechi, when in that same
situation, did call him out. Like, even Morgana has a line similar to Yukiko. because of Yukiko, I distinctly remember this, where she's just like, no, you're just a child throwing a tantrum. And Morgana has almost the exact same line where he's like, you're just like a little kid throwing a temper tantrum.
Yeah, and
so it's clearly trying to evoke that same scene where they're calling him out.
Yeah, and then
then they backpedal hard.
Yeah, like right before he dies, that all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, you didn't really mean that, did you, Akechi?" I'm like, he literally said he wanted to tear you all limb from limb like 5 minutes ago. He didn't. You can't go, well, you don't really mean that. You really wanted to be our friend.
He tried to kill Ren in cold blood.
Yeah, like...
He called him addict trash.
Yeah,
Mother puss bucket.
Yeah, like, and he did that in private when he had absolutely no reason to hide his intentions. He acted like a complete psychopath.
So many analysis saying that Akechi is sad while he thinks he's killing
Where?
Ren. Like, no, he's not.
Where? Show citations freaking needed.
Like, there's a close-up and they say there's tears in his eyes.
No, there's freaking where? Show me.
There's tears in my eyes because I'm so pissed off at Akechi it makes me cry.
Where? Like, gosh, show me, guys. Give me the receipts. I've played this game 7.5 times. I mean, I watched the anime, but I'd like to forget it. I've forgotten some parts already. It's just like, wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of dull parts, and the fact that they rush through the story so much, it's like... It's like, yeah.
I do think the best part of the anime was the Madarame arc. I honestly think that was like the highest peak of it.
Yeah, I think so too, because I know that people complain about Kanashiro's arc being boring, but
it's even more boring in the anime.
Made it very uninteresting. Like, I skipped the Kanashiro arc, honestly.
I mean, at least in the game, you had all those fun puzzles, and like Makoto's got her cool awakening moment, and just all this stuff. And frick, you're taking down a mafia ring. Like, that's freaking sweet. How do you make that boring? They did.
But in the anime, it was really boring.
Persona 5 anime finds a way.
It always finds a way to be boring.
And then I came back for the Futaba arc, and I did like the detail of how worried An was for Futaba because of Iho.
Yeah.
I went back and replayed Persona 5 after that part, and I realized that An does worry a bit, but it's not as obvious as in...
Yeah. And that's cool that you tie it to Shiho, because if Shiho was suicidal, and it's very, like, obvious that Futaba is becoming suicidal. Like, it's like, wow. And so, obviously, that would affect her. But, you know, like, every 2 good ideas, they had 6 or 7 bad ones.
I also remember during the boss fight that An wanted to be the one who did stuff, because she wanted to eliminate this condition so Futaba wouldn't be going through the...
Yeah, I mean, that was nice.
Yeah, and
I've had it all.
Yeah, and every time...
What was that?
And every time when I was watching the anime, it's like I would see a good idea. It would get my hopes up, and then they would screw something else up, and I'm like... My day is my disappointment is immeasurable. My day is ruined.
Oh, I also remember in the last OVA after the arrest, they don't really focus on them trying to help Ren get out. Like,
yeah, that was such a nice part of the game too.
Like, they don't even show much of the reunion. Like, you hear Ryuji going Ren, and I was like, welcome back. It was like...
I mean, I will say it's funny that they gave that nickname, and everybody in the fandom just universally adopted that. Like, yes, Ryuji would call him Ren.
It feels very for him.
Like that was funny, and I like frickin' like just like that whole introduction where Ryuji's just like, by the way, like he's like, you can call me Ryuji, and like because he's like you know, none of this Sakamoto stuff. He's like, you can call me Ryuji Ren. And he's just like, sure, nice to meet you, Sakamoto. Asshole.
Yeah, I thought that was funny.
So going back to the OVA with the final boss fight, like, they kind of shove in Morgana, like, just waiting randomly on the doorstep of La... Dude, why?
Hey, what's up? I'm here, remember me?
Like we didn't get the reunion with the other fans and fees. That was Bob's like.
Yeah, that was a bit disappointing because like the Persona 4 anime did what it did really well is like establishing Yu's close friendship with each and every one of them. He would have at least a quiet moment with every single one of his friends at least twice in the entirety of the show to like really establish this bond on top of multiple scenes of hanging out with all of them. So you really feel it like whenever when they were about to beat Kubo and he was trapped in that illusion of all of his friends like leaving him, or whenever in the OVA when Izanami trapped him in that shadow and it's like that Lotus Eater machine where he's just having a Groundhog Day, but you didn't mind it and he was kind of going crazy, but he wanted to stay there because of at the very least he wouldn't have to see his friends die because of then she had that other illusion where all his friends were dying.
And then that tied into like the shadow self of Yu because he was scared of being alone.
Yeah, he's scared of being alone. Like he needs his friends, and like that's like they've crafted this character for you, and it's consistent. He's this lonely kid who moved here, like away from home, away from friends and stuff like that, and so he feels like like he's kind of trapped. But then he meets, and it serves as a perfect foil to Adachi. That's the other really key important thing here. The way they crafted Yu's character is perfect foil for Adachi because Adachi is alone. He's isolated. He's angry and bitter about that. But the thing is, Adachi never did anything about that to change that about his life, so he just stewed in his bitterness. Whereas Yu is a proactive character. He meets friends, he makes friends, he goes out, he hangs out, he has a life, and is experiencing the best in life, and so that shapes him. So naturally, his fear is losing that. And it serves as the perfect foil to Adachi. And Rin is such a non-character, and Akechi is such a forced character, and their dynamic just feels all wrong. They should be foils like Yu and Adachi, but they're not.
And they try to pretend they are, but it's just like...
Yeah, there's this scene in the anime where Rin and Akechi are hanging out at an arcade, and they're playing Gunabout. And Akechi, I can't remember the line where he says something like to the effect of like we're friends, and then Ren's just like yeah, I'm rivals too, and then Akechi's like oh, so you remember, and then Ren has this like look in his eye, like I don't even know what that look is supposed to mean. Is he surprised that Akechi agreed with him? I don't freaking know.
Yeah, that reminds me of Proof of Justice. Like they had that similar scene, and then Akechi was like, "If only we met a few years ago." I was like,
like now you're doing this now.
Well, and
like I don't remember the Akechi confrontation, but I thought that they had those.
What the?
Sorry, fire alarm.
What are you doing? Are you burning your kitchen? Are you turning into Yukiko?
She's trying to burn
roommate, not me.
She's trying to burn the Persona 5 anime.
Food X, everybody. You need to go into another room. What's going on? Oh my goodness. Julie, are you okay?
Problem solved. We have burned the Persona 5 anime to the ground.
Please tell me you're keeping that and you're not editing that out, too.
Oh, I am keeping that in.
This is our tie into the Persona 4 anime where Risei, Chie, and Yukiko burn down a kitchen.
Yeah. Okay, but something else that I remember, Julie, when you were first telling us, you were watching the Akechi OVA and you were telling us about it. I remember my reaction was, I like the ideas of some of this, but why are they shoving this all into a single OVA instead of putting this in the actual anime? If you had actual scenes of Akechi interacting with Ren in some of these sound like actual interesting ideas, take out some of those pointless Akechi scenes and replace them with actual scenes of Akechi doing something.
Stop burning your kitchen down. Julie. Stop cooking Mystery Food X. Julie. Oh my. Julie, you need to stay away from your kitchen. This is so funny. Are you alive, Julie? Are you okay? Julie? Uh-oh.
We lost her.
Oh, no.
thinking about the Persona 5 anime killed her.
Oh no! Oh
No.
no! It's killing
Julie,
her.
why?
Julie! Oh my god! Just take the batteries out. Just rip them out. Get a ladder or a step ladder. Wait, no, that's Ace Attorney. No.
No, it looks more like a step ladder to me.
Ladder.
Step ladder.
Ladder.
It's a step ladder.
I'm so
okay?
sorry. Like my roommate was cooking and apparently it set off the file.
Oh, so they were.
You just need to
full
rip the
Yukiko.
batteries out at this point.
Just
Is your
burn the place
roommate
down.
Yukiko?
No, she's a decent cook.
Oh, okay.
If you burn the
Fine.
building down, you won't have a fire alarm to worry about.
That's true. Good point. Anyways, Tim, you were saying about the OVA and the good ideas, but whatever.
Oh, yeah, but like one thing I really like is like the idea of having more scenes of Akechi having a genuinely interesting interactions with Ren, but then they instead of incorporating this into the anime as a whole, they just shoved it all into an OVA and went, oh yeah, by the way, guys, this stuff totally happened.
Lazy.
Also, the thing about Proof of Justice being a toy ray gun, like, literally had me facepalm. I was like, are you serious?
I hate the idea of the toy ray gun and the toy laser sword anyway.
It doesn't fit Akechi's character at all.
But now people are saying, oh, but it means that because he didn't have a real childhood, and so that's why he has. Shut up! Like, stop it.
Well, and that also doesn't work because Naruto already had that done in Persona 4, where the whole like it kind of had like a Sentai.
She was into Sentai. That's why her dungeon incorporated that.
Yeah, it's like
like a very sci-fi-esque, like a kid's Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, it says but that was incorporated in that. You can't just throw a toy gun on Akechi and go, oh yeah, by the way, he didn't have a childhood.
Well, see, this is what Akechi is, though. He is literally just all the bare bones of Adachi and Naoto thrown into a blender, and then they're like, ha, let's slap on
and
the
the fandom seems to think that
Akechi.
And the fandom seems to think that Akechi's into Featherman, but there's no real hint to it. Like, even in Persona Q2, like, Futaba freaks out when she sees Yukari, but Akechi doesn't get a reaction. So I really don't think he's Featherman.
We all know, like, as we've all discussed in private, really, he's secretly a fan of the magical detective Loveline.
Yeah, obviously.
Loveline is his wife. Oh, man. I'll just kill over.
You said it, not me.
That's what I was like, because you weren't responding immediately when I asked you, and you're like, I had this idea about Loveline, and I was like, no, don't tell me it's his wife, and I'm like, I will die, I will go in Minecraft and kill myself.
Like, no, I had different ideas. I was just trying to write them out.
I know, it was just funny because of, like, suddenly it said, just like, you said you were typing, and then suddenly it stopped typing, and then me and Joey were like, Tim. You wouldn't say anything for a while. We were like, stop! Say something!
It's like, no, I had this interesting idea about Akechi, and then you were just like, no, you take the worst possible outcome.
Well, look, when you leave me alone to my own thoughts, I'm just going to jump from 1 to, like, a billion. That's how I work.
You went from A all the way to Z before I even finished typing.
I love how nobody's going to have context for our private conversations.
No, yeah, it's like...
we have too much fun, though.
Yeah.
Unlike the anime. Look at how I rolled that.
Like, fix the anime, please.
Fix it so much.
Yeah, this is one time when I'll hope that when they inevitably do a Persona 5 the Royal anime, that they actually do it good and they don't do a Persona 4 Golden anime.
I would love if it's like the reverse problem. Where it's like, where Golden was a terrible anime. Like, what if they did the reverse? Where, like, no, let's do this right this time. And we'll adapt everything, not just the parts that'll have Kasumi. And just fix everything. I mean, yeah, give me an optimistic, like, you're like, yeah, you're too optimistic. But, I can dream.
That's doubt for me, personally.
Stop it. I can dream.
Because that's what they basically did with Persona 4 Golden. They made it them.
Yeah, but the Persona 4 anime was good, so can we please have the reverse?
Well, and what I don't understand is, like, I understand that they were probably like, well, we already have an anime, so we shouldn't actually incorporate everything. We'll skim over everything except Mary. It's just like Murray. All right, but like, yeah, but that kind of makes her character kind of meaningless if you take out the plot that she's in.
Excuse me.
It's like, yeah,
but it's just like, well, people have already seen this story before. Like, okay, fair enough, but you still could have tried a little bit better.
Well, and
it's like jarring. Like, you see that the characters just join and seem to contact.
Yeah, it's just like the characters don't feel like they feel like NPCs rather than your friends.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but that's neither here nor there. But is it any surprise that the people who made the Golden Anime made Persona 5 anime? When you could have gotten the same people who instead did the Persona 4 anime to make the Persona 5 anime. What are you thinking?
We need the same guy who's in charge.
The Persona 3 movie creators too.
Who? What?
And the other thing is like, it's really weird how they got a different animation studio. It's the same people who did the Ace Attorney anime, which Ace Attorney anime is a decent adaptation. It's not perfect, but it's pretty decent for a game adaptation. What happened with Persona 5 and the Golden anime? Like, good lord. Like, why couldn't you get the same people who animated from the games? Because that's what they did with the Persona 4 anime. Like, the Persona 4 anime looks great. It looks so much like the game cutscene.
The sad thing is that I defended the Persona 4 Golden anime originally because people are like, oh, it's milking. And it was like, please give it a chance. Like, what's so bad about it? And then I watched the first episode and was like,
oh. It's like, oh no.
Oh no.
But like look at those cutscenes from the games. Like, oh my gosh. It's so gorgeous. Like, you know what? Let me tie it into the Awakenings. Tim, if you ever get a chance, look up. Actually, no, because you've been watching the playthrough of the Persona 4 game vanilla version. Wouldn't you say that the anime like almost kind of made Yu's Awakening even more epic?
Yeah, and
even cutscene wise.
Yeah, and I really like the details. The fact that he has his whole uniform buttoned up properly until his awakening, in which he's like kind of freaking out, and then he unbuttons it, and then that's when he has
because he's like trying to breathe, like he almost like the awakening like has him out of breath, so he's like unbuttoning his shirt or his jacket so that way he can like get a little bit more air.
Yeah, and then that ties into that's his now the look that he keeps for the rest of the show. And where in the game,
it's really cool.
Yeah,
oh gosh.
But in the game, he just starts off looking like that. But like, I like that change.
But at least, when Izanagi comes in, it's really cool. But in the anime, it makes it feel gigantic. Like when Izanagi comes in, and you're just like, holy crap! And whenever Reach Out to the Truth starts playing, like right at that moment, you're rocking out, and it's so cool. And it feels awesome, and it feels epic.
Yeah, and that's how an anime should do. Like, it should take these scenes and make them work in a show format. And
I remember when we watched the Persona 4 anime I actually watched it before you, but when I was showing it to you for the first time, Tim, and whenever Izanagi was summoned for the first time, and I remember the first thing you said, you were like, "That's his persona?" You're like, "Holy cow, that is so cool!"
Yeah.
Like, you were starting to geek out, and I'm like, yeah, that's what it should make you do. Like, because he's experienced the anime first, and I'm like, but that's what it should make you do. It should make you just like a football fan. You're like, yeah, getting up out of your seat, getting all excited. It's so epic. And then the Persona 5 anime is kind of rushing through it.
Yeah, and it makes everything feel a lot less epic. Like when Ren's awakening happens, because I know we were talking about this before we started recording, where we saw we watched the game version and we saw the anime version, and then I was like, yeah, the game version is so much more intense and over the top, and then the anime is just like he rips the mask off and then boom, Arsene just pops out. Like, oh.
I mean, I will say I did like the detail when they did a close-up of Ren's eyes in the anime, how his pupils were like convulsating. And it looked like whoa, and like he was really sweating a lot. But he wasn't. His whole body wasn't thrashing about like it was in the game. So you felt like, wow, Ren's in a lot of pain.
Yeah,
and I mean, I did like the detail that Ryuji was really banged up and really bruised, because it shows that Ryuji's situation is really desperate. Like, they are really pounding on this guy and they are about to kill him. and you need to do something now.
Yeah,
The game, yeah, you do need to do something now that's still there. And there's a sword held up to Ryuji, so this is very serious. Either way, Ryuji's about to die. But I did like the touch about the anime showed like how much more brutal they were to Ryuji and how they treated him. But then when Ren awakens, it's like it happens so quickly in the anime. And even like the blood, it quickly goes through the fact that he's ripping this mask off, practically ripping his own face off. And it just goes through so quick. Whereas in the game, it took its time really building it up with the music and how he's like thrashing. And even as he's ripping, they take the time where he's like freaking out that he's got this thing on his face. And then he's trying to rip it off, and at first it wouldn't come off. And it's slow about how he rips it off his face. And you're just like, oh gosh! It makes it more intense.
Yeah.
But yeah. There's so many, and it's kind of like that for everyone's awakenings. I remember in the game, like rips her shackles off, like you hear the clink, like when she's ripping the shackles off of herself.
Well, one thing that I noticed when I was looking at Anne's awakening in the game compared to the anime was that in the game she actually breaks the shackles off.
Yeah,
where in the anime the shackles just kind of disappear. And she just
they melt off in the blue fire. Like that's a little underwhelming.
Yeah, like she actually rips herself free in the game.
Yeah, like that's intense. Anne's awakening is intense. Ryuji's awakening is really intense. Like they're all intense. Like when Makoto awakens, when she cracks the ground underneath her. Heck, and Yusuke is like having that dramatic moment. It kind of reminded me of like 80s music videos where his whole body is like, and the whole room is spinning around him. And it's just like every single one of them, it's a very intense moment.
And Yusuke's fingertips were bleeding, if I remember.
Oh, yes, that part too. Whenever he's like scratching the ground so hard that it causes his, like, he's breaking his fingertips. Ow, I just ran into something. But, oh gosh, it was like, it's so intense. And the anime just, it breezes through it so fast. Like, slow down, anime, slow down. I get that you don't have a lot of time to tell a really huge story, but frick, the Persona 4 anime figured out how to take their time.
Yeah.
In such a limited amount of time.
Yeah, and
but what also bothered me about the Cheeto OVA is that they really rushed through the Kechi confrontation. Like, I think it was like 10 minutes with the whole in the sacrifice. And for some reason, they have the Kechi shoot his cognition form, and he still makes the sacrifice.
Yeah, which, like, wait, but he already shoot the cognition. Shouldn't he be fine?
Yeah, the cognition is what killed him in the game, like...
Yeah, like, you hear a simultaneous gunshot at the same time in the game, implying that they shot each other at the same time. And then Futaba says, no life reading. Which means they're both gone.
Hallelujah.
And it's like, okay, so he already shot it, so why is he sacrificing himself?
It just made no sense.
No, nothing does. It just doesn't work.
It just raises too many questions.
It does. It's really sad.
Yeah, and
what also annoyed me is... Sorry?
No, you go.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Julie.
What was really annoying about, like the, the forming of Satanel, Ren didn't get up...
Satanile?
Yeah, like, I think Ren didn't get up until, like, Kechi was like, are you gonna... No, that was in the Velvet Room when he was fighting against Caroline and Justine.
Oh, yeah,
Caroline. He didn't get up until, like, Kechi says, is this really gonna be checkmate for you or something?
Yeah, like, really? Really? Like, you're gonna even have, like, Rin have zero motivation to keep fighting? Like, gosh, in the game, one of Rin's choices is whenever it's like, you're gonna die... It's, he thinks about, like, one of your options is, like, I can't die here, I gotta help my friends. And, like, and you can keep making that your option, like, where are my friends? Where are my friends? Like, you're demanding where your friends are. And I'm like, so that's, like, a great, like, you should have stuck with that. Like, Rin's only priority is his friends. And, like, nope, he's just like, whatever, I guess I'm gonna die. And then how Catchy Spirits here is like, really, you gonna die here? It's like, oh, okay, I guess I won't. Like, gosh, like, can you stop making him such a non-character?
Well, and then doing that while also shilling Akechi. It's like, stop.
Like, gosh, like, I get that they're trying to incorporate how Ren is in the game, except Ren is a silent issue protagonist, but because of the fact that the game and the anime are two different mediums, it almost makes it seem like Ren has more character in the game.
It really does.
I mean, I don't think it is not how it is, but it feels that way because they're two different mediums. Because one should have more character than the other, not the same.
And it's what we were talking
honestly,
about.
I felt that I kind of felt annoyed that they skipped Ren talking to all of his friends, like motivating them to fight back.
Yeah. Like, gosh, like whenever his friends have like that moment, right before they evolve, like each and every one of them have something to say. Like when they're before their persona falls, when they're helping with you against Izanagi, not Izanagi, frick, Monosuke. Each and every one of them have one line. You couldn't have at least Ren like go to meet up with his friends and have one line to them, like maybe they give up hope, and then he says one thing, and they're like, yeah. Like, you can condense that really quick.
Well, I just had an idea of how you can do that. You can do it where you cut through all of the different times when he's talking to them, but every time he's talking to them, you basically like act like it's one conversation where they're all like kind of coming together and they all come to realize their motivations, and you cut through, and then with each of the Phantom Thieves saying something as Ren is talking to them, and then by you
like
What?
Like, I really like the detail of like them being in their civilian clothing, and then when Rin gives them the talk, like they get the will.
Yeah,
to rebel
like their rebellion comes in, kind of like how when Ren was in his inmate attire, but when he was like rebelling against them, his Joker attire appears, and then that's when even Caroline and Justine, they're like, "You dare show your rebellion even now?" But that's such a great subtle build up to show that the Velvet Room was trapped in mementos, the palace of the entire public. Which, as we know, whenever someone is seen as a threat, their outfits appear. Which, like, that's such a good tale. Like, the freaking game is so brilliant. Ah! I don't think you people understand how much I love Persona 5. That's why the anime frustrates me so much. I love Persona 5.
Like, didn't you say that is maybe your all-time favorite RPG?
It's in my top 5. I'd say it's number 3. I put it on number 3. I still love Bayonetta 2 and Twilight Princess a little bit more. But it's definitely number 3. And that's saying something, because I've played a lot of games in my life, and it quickly climbed up to number 3 spot. No, wait, no. Bayonetta 2 is tied with it. No, that's right. I forgot. Frick. No, number 1's Twilight Princess. Number 2 is Kingdom Hearts 2. Because I remember, because it was a sequel 2 game. That was number 2. And then Bayonetta 2 is tied with Persona 5. Yeah. But, frick. Good crap. But see, there's so many games I played, but Persona 5 is amazing. I will say that it is my favorite overall RPG of all time. I've played a lot of RPG. Persona 5 is my favorite one. Even if I would say that Persona 4 is objectively the better written one, because it's very, very consistent. It has very little plot holes. It's only got, one plot hole and one or two little nit I would have with it. But overall, it is very... But I just love Persona 5 more. I can't get enough of it. I can't stop playing it. I love it. It's so good. Except Akechi.
Yeah, Akechi is like, you've described him as a wart on a beautiful face. It's just, Akechi. How wise you here.
But it's such a good game. It's so much fun. Even with Akechi, I would still, I played the ever-living crap out of that game. I was so obsessed with it. I put in all-nighters on this game. I love it. I love it. Anime, why you suck? Anyway, somebody else talk besides me.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, and I love playing Persona 5, and it really pisses me off just seeing how badly the anime screwed it up. Because it took a lot of these great themes and great parts of the story and then just threw them into a blender.
And it just glosses over these characters. These really good characters.
Well, if the anime was overall like the Persona 4 anime and it adapted everything well, even if it included the really stupid Akechi stuff,
It still would be good.
it would still be good.
Because if Persona 5's good, even with the Akechi stuff.
Yeah, but then I got everything just and then they made the Akechi problem worse in the anime.
Which how do you do that?
You see him and he's shoved into your face all the time. Please go away.
Yeah, seriously.
This is something I remember. I wanted to bring this up. I remember when I first was watching the first episode. Not even a minute in, they were already forcing Akechi in.
I remember in the Discord, you were like, "What the frick?"
Yeah, because
at the beginning, Akechi now, and me and Julie were like, welcome to the Persona 5 anime experience, Tim. How do you do?
Yeah, I remember looking in.
And then he showed up on some person's phone, and you were like, "Why?"
Yeah, like as Ren is going.
We're like, "Welcome to the experience. Welcome to our suffering."
Yeah, like they keep bringing him up. Like in the beginning when he's doing the escape, they completely cut down the escape to only being like a minute or two. It was really awful, but then they managed to take time out of that and just show Akechi being like integral in creating the distraction. I'm like, why?
Yeah, well, and why did they randomly silhouette Ren's mask? They didn't do that in the game. They distinctly show you Joker because he has such an iconic design that you immediately like, whoa, who is this guy? What's he all about? And then he gets arrested, and you're like, holy crap, what's going on? I want to know the story about this guy. Well, yeah, and he's your protagonist.
What's really funny is that when he gets caught, like when the police first show up, like he tries to escape in the game, but then he gets caught. But then in the anime, they're just like, boom, they instantly catch him. I'm like, oh, well, okay.
It's like, all right, cool.
Yeah, no,
whatever.
Yeah, it just.
I can't believe we talked about this for like 2 hours.
Yeah, because there's so many issues with this.
But there's so much good with Persona 4 anime. It's like amazing.
Yeah, it is really good. Love it. And it really pisses me off. Like, why don't you just get the same animation studio and then the same guy who did the Persona 4 anime to do
like the same team. They would have done it so much justice. Like Persona 4 anime is so good. Honestly, more anime adaptations or just adaptations in general should have that same care and love. You can tell the people who made the Persona 4 anime, like you were talking about this with your Castlevania talk, right? You can tell the people who made the Persona 4 anime loved Persona 4.
Yeah.
And even loved Persona 3. I mean, for crying out loud, they didn't have to add in the Mass Destruction song like during the King's game, but they did it anyway because of the kids are on Port Island. So they thought, oh, this will be a funny little reference because of like it's a dramatic moment, but we're gonna have the battle theme from Persona 3 in just for the kicks and giggles.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Why couldn't we get more in the Persona 5 anime?
I know. There's so much we could have had so much love and care, but we didn't. It's obvious these people just wanted. See, when people say, "Oh, they're just milking the Persona brand," you don't get that with the Persona 4 anime. This is not milking. This is love and care. You get that with the Persona 5 anime. This is we're just milking and we're just trying to cash in a buck.
Yeah. Like honestly, I only think the only bad milking we got was the Persona 4.
Well, yeah, Golden, that's definitely milking. But I mean, like, compare, because we're not really talking about Golden. We're talking about these two different animes, like, of the vanilla versions of the games.
Yeah, the animation.
Persona 4 anime was not milking. Persona 5 anime absolutely was milking. It was lazy. There was no thought was really put into it, except for, like, the 1 or 2 moments there wasn't thought put into it.
Yeah, and, like, there were some times when I would notice there were, like, great little cameos. Like, they show a cameo of Kaname. And it's like,
oh yeah, Kaname, that's
from
right.
the dancing game. It shows her doing a dance video, and then they show.
And what's great is they updated her design too, because her hair is a little shorter, and you see her in a different outfit. It's reminiscent of her outfit in the dancing game, but it's a little bit different, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, and then they also show the Neo Featherman in a
video.
Yeah,
that's right. They showed the Neo Featherman.
And it's just like, yeah, okay.
Which, we're prevalent.
Yeah, it's a nice little subtle detail. And if Persona 5 was a good the animation was good, I would absolutely adore these little nods to the other games. But like,
Yeah, but instead you're like, I'd rather be watching the other stuff.
yeah, it's just like, yeah, okay, you're showing me Neil Featherman. I'd rather you be showing me what Yukari is doing right now than
It's like,
this.
yeah, it's like, you know what? I'd rather go play Ultimax right now because
Yeah.
this anime is just so blech. It's like, stop showing me better things. You just make me want to watch better things instead of you. Ugh. Though I get that feeling a lot when I see the Persona 5 anime, and I'm just like, I'd rather be watching the Persona 4 anime.
Or just play the game.
Yeah, like, oh gosh, it's definitely, I would just rather be playing the game. I get that
Like,
feeling so many times.
honestly, I'm shocked when I knew people who got into Persona 5 through the.
Oh,
I would recommend.
that's an oof. I'm like, please play the game.
Like, I would recommend. I would like if you don't have a PS3 or sorry, a PS3, then I would recommend getting into Persona through there.
No, do
But
not. Like, if I would say at the very least, then watch like one of those no commentary walkthroughs for the Persona 5 game, because then at least it's nobody's commentary, so you're only gonna watch the game clean, no other
I was saying
influencer.
Persona 4. I was saying Persona 4. Like, I
Oh,
think the
right.
anime is a
Yeah,
good
Persona 4,
introduction
absolutely.
to Persona 4. Persona 5 anime is a good one.
Yeah, Persona 4 is an absolutely great adaptation. It's like Castlevania, the Netflix Castlevania in a way. You don't need to play the game to enjoy the show. It's a good show. It's like, it's objectively well written on its own, and it's an objectively well written adaptation. Like, non-fans and fans alike can like the Persona 4 anime. I can't think of anybody who would like the Persona 5 anime. I mean, maybe non-fans can enjoy it, but it's certainly not for fans. So then what's the point?
Yeah.
So I guess the animes are kind of like a big commercial for the games, but
Yes,
I feel
but this
like it
isn't
would
a
be
good
really confused by
commercial.
Persona
Like,
It's a terrible commercial.
yeah, like
But you know what? If it gets people to play the game, then good. Because then they're going to play the game. They're going to be like, why was the anime such garbage? This
yeah,
is so much better.
like the Persona 4 anime is an excellent commercial for the game because it's really good, it's enjoyable. You don't need to have any context from the game to watch it because I remember watching it without knowing anything about the games and I loved it. But then when I watch the Persona 5 anime, I'm seeing things where I'm like, well, if I hadn't played the game, this wouldn't make any sense. Like with the calling cards. Because in the games, they explain the calling cards in detail.
Yeah, when you put it that way, it's not even good on its own because
Yeah.
there's so much that's not explained.
Yeah, this is the problem I had with like the live action Bleach movie and the live action Full Metal Alchemist movie, where it's like a lot of people are like, well, you just have to judge it on its own. I'm like, no, because you can't judge it on its own because there's so much stuff that they just assume you've already read the manga or watched the anime, and
Yeah.
they'll just run off with it and like, okay, yeah, but anyone who hasn't read that, then they're gonna be lost, and that's the same
I mean,
thing.
there's some things that are good on its own. Like if you like ignored what it was adapted from, like freaking I never seen it, but like the people on EFAP, they talk about how The Shining is a really good movie, but it's a terrible adaptation, and even Stephen King hated it too
Yeah,
because
it's
it
really
cut out a
different.
lot of context from the books. But it's a very popular Stanley Kubrick movie because of it's a very good Stanley Kubrick movie. So as a movie, it's actually really good and it's internally consistent stuff like that. But when you hold it up to like the Stephen King movie novel, it's actually not that good, like in comparison. So like you can have an adaptation that, well, while not a good adaptation, it at least is a good product on its own, and technically that's okay. Like as long as you're creating new fans, but it's like you're not even a good adaptation.
Yeah,
Like you're not good on your own. You're not a good adaptation. So what are you?
yeah, it's like I talked about the Tomb Raider movie, where it's like, yeah, this is trying to adapt a really good game, but then it completely doesn't adapt it. But even on its own, it's just dumb and nonsensical because the story doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I will say that at the very least, the old Tomb Raider movie, the one with Angelina Jolie, while it's dumb, it's enjoyably dumb. So you can say at least on its own, it's very fun
Yeah, and it's not.
because it's like a dumb movie, but it's a fun dumb movie.
Yeah,
It's sure it's not the great adaptation, but it's a fun dumb movie. The other one's not even fun.
yeah, and that's just when you look at Persona 5, the animation, it's like it does not stand up on its own. I honestly
It's not fun.
I cannot imagine someone's first experience with Persona being the Persona 5 anime.
Yeah, I can't either.
I would not wish that on someone.
No, I would not. It's not good. It's really not.
Because then it would give them
terrible.
like a really bad impression of the Persona games. It's like, no, you please watch the Persona 4 anime. Enjoy that. That's a good gateway. I would highly recommend it. The Persona 4 anime as a great gateway into the series.
Yeah, like Julie, like whenever I said I started watching the Persona 4 anime after playing the Persona 5 game, what was your first thought?
I was
When I
like,
told-
oh, you're in for a good time.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because it's true. You are. It's so good. Now, if somebody was like getting into the Persona 3 series and they said they were going to watch the movies, what would you say to that person?
Well, they do rearrange some things in the Persona 3 movie, but I felt like it worked better from a storytelling standpoint.
So in other words, it's a good adaptation and it can stand on its own.
Yeah.
Okay, so if somebody told you then, I'm going to see the Persona 5 anime.
He's like, please, no, just let me transform my game.
Don't do it. It's just, no.
This is a success.
One last thing, though. I will say that that's good about the Persona 5 anime. I will give it these 2 compliments. When Rin dodged the chalk, that was hilarious and dramatic.
And
the haunted house scene, I'll unmask you. That was really funny. And it was like, oh, that was cute. Like, because they didn't have that in the game. And it's like, yeah, like, let the kids have more fun moments. But if the anime was good, then you would just appreciate it more.
Yeah.
Instead, it just pisses me off.
Yeah.
It's like a really rare moment. Like, 1% of the anime is good.
Let's be more generous, like 3%.
That's so mean. It's 4%.
Oh, okay. And 5.2%. Yeah. So that was that.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for helping me do this topic. Y'all have been a big help.
No problem.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Definitely definitely have to do something like this again.
Just to make sure nobody burns down your kitchen, Julie.
It's okay. It stopped.
No mystery food X. We've seen the Persona 4 anime. How that's killed the intestines of Yosuke and you. What was it that you said with the egg? Oh yeah, death in a bite. Now I want to watch the Persona 4 anime again.
Yeah.
Frick, you know what? I'm gonna do that. It's so good. I love it. I'm also grateful that it was dubbed. I think that's the other problem. You know, before we close this, the Persona 4 anime got a dub, and the actors are really good for like the Persona games. And the 5 has not been dubbed. And it's not a diss to the Japanese actors. It's just, you know, I really love the Persona 5 actors.
Well, I know that the Persona 5 Japanese cast they're very famous. I know Anna is voiced by Maki, and isn't Ren's voice actor Lelouch?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's Lelouch. So it's really great because of like, you know, I do like to make Code Geass jokes with him, and then when I found that out, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, and
because he's very dramatic, and he's got like the flair for the theatrics, like Lelouch does.
Well, and it's also hilarious because Yu is voiced by the English voice for Lelouch.
Yeah, it's really funny, and it's like I think you and I had this really funny moment, like whenever like it was Yosuke and you, and Yosuke was asking you to punch him, and you were like, "This is a great moment," and I said, "This moment became funnier when you realized this was Lelouch and Suzaku," and Tim, you were like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yes, it is." It was really funny. And it's just like, yeah, like these are good actors. And like it's a shame that Persona 5 as dumb as the anime is. I think like I don't know, maybe a dub could have helped. Maybe it's because I'm more emotionally attached to these actors. I don't know.
I mean, it wouldn't have helped, but it would have made it a little bit more palatable.
But it also might have made it more painful because then you'd been like, oh, these are good actors and they're stuck with this crap.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know why Persona 4 the animation is the only one that got dubbed. Like,
It is really weird.
I'm still mad that they never dubbed the Persona 3 movie. And
Oh
I know
yeah,
that
that's
it
also
didn't
weird too.
like, and I know that it was better received than hard.
It is weird because of the Persona 3 actors are also really good. At least in the English dub. I mean, I can't speak for the Japanese version because I'm not as familiar with all of them, but I am with the English cast, and they're all really good actors. But whatever.
yeah, let the Persona 3 movies get dubbed. The Persona, honestly, even the Persona 4 Golden, that's not dubbed either, is it?
No, it's not.
Yeah,
Which is a
dub
shame
all.
because there was like only like 2 good things about it.
Yeah. Well,
Wait, no, 3 good things. I
well,
forgot about the really funny chocolate scene with Nanako.
then we could have that scene where Naoto thinks everyone's trying to kill her dubbed.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
really
that
funny.
scene.
Like that scene, the Nanako chocolate scene. But oh gosh, the whole confrontation with Adachi was really well done. But it was like, wasn't it like episode 2 or something, or episode 3? Wasn't it like really early? I can't remember, Julie.
Well,
For what?
The what?
For Golden Anime. Like, when was the Adachi competition? Because I remember it was really early because this is only like a 12-episode anime.
Wait, let me check.
Because I remember it being really early when they reveal who the real killer is. And they, like, confront Adachi. It was, like, insanely early. Because all they're doing is doing all the Mari stuff. Like, that's what they're mostly focusing on. So they, like, breeze through everything. And then it's just like, oh, by the way, Adachi. Yeah, he's the killer. Just like, wow, okay. But oh gosh, but that whole scene with when you confront Adachi, like the whole you and Adachi fight is like really, really good. It's more brutal. Like they're even like fist fighting each other, like punching each other. And then you get that flashback with Adachi, and it's like, and you don't even get words, and you're like, oh, holy cow. And it's just like, without words, it expresses Adachi's feelings. And again, this is the same people who did the Persona 5 anime, so once again, it's like, wow, a really genius idea, but it's buried under all this crap.
So I checked it and it's actually episode 7. I'm not sure where you got 2 or 3.
Like I said, I can't remember. I only watched it once, and it was hard to stomach it. But still, 7? That's like, come
7
on.
out of 12.
And like, you shouldn't have been 12 episodes. It should have been 26, like the Persona 4 anime, but whatever. We're not here to insult Golden. No.
Well, and it's funny. It's A1 Pictures. They're the same.
Yeah, it's the same people that did Persona 5.
And they're the same studio that does Sword Art Online.
And Ace Attorney.
Yeah, well, no, but Sword Art Online is infamously awful, so, like...
Yeah, but, like, I was saying, like, but it's the same people that did the Ace Attorney anime, which is pretty decent. It's not perfect, but it's decent. It's, like, actually a fairly okay adaptation for a game. And then it's like, you did this? And you did that? And you did that?
Like,
I'll leave you to decide which one I'm talking about.
Like, honestly, all the people I've met who like the anime are either Akechi.
Even Akechi fans kind of got annoyed with the anime at some parts, but even Makoto fans kind of got annoyed at some parts. It's like, who is this for? But yeah, the only way you could like it is if you were a Makoto fan or an Akechi fan. But like a hardcore Makoto fan or Akechi fan, because I know Makoto fans and Akechi fans, even they were like annoyed with it. They're like, you're giving them too much focus, but you're not even giving them the right kind of focus. Like, what the heck? What gives? It's just frustrating. But yeah. So Persona 4 anime good, Persona 5 anime bad.
Yep.
Nutshell version.
Yep.
So go watch.
Yeah, go watch the Persona 4 anime. Don't watch the Persona 5 anime.
If you have learned anything from this video, it's watch Persona 4 the animation.
Yeah, like if you take anything from this, please watch Persona 4 the animation. It is really well done. Like, you don't even ever have to play the game. You never even have to play the game if you don't want to. But please watch the anime. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's fantastic. I want more people to talk about it with.
Watching the anime.
I love the anime. Oh my gosh.
After this is done, I'm gonna go and watch that episode with Nanako and Loveline.
Yes, oh my gosh. I think I'm just gonna go watch the King game.
Baby.
Of course I can, because I'm the king.
On the rocks.
On
The
the
fact that they had you like get all three of the girls.
Yes, I know, that was so funny.
And then
Oh my God.
Yosuke is just like,
Out of the way, please! The king and his lap are mine now!
And then Yosuke's like, you stop hugging all the girls.
He's like, of course I can. I'm the king. And he like straightens his glasses. Oh my gosh.
How they is you.
I love it so much. It's so funny. We could have had it all with Ren. And Ren's like my favorite like video game protagonist for like silent protagonist. Like freaking okay, that's not true. Link's my favorite. But he's like right up there. He's like second favorite. Freaking grr. I hate you people. We could have had it all.
yeah.
Well, at least Smash Brothers is good to Ren.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I'll do. I'm gonna go play some Smash Brothers. I'm just gonna be Joker and beat stuff up. Well, anyways.
Yeah.
If you guys have stuck around for this long as we rambled, wow, we're like, give us like 4 more hours and we could be an episode of EFAP.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be Aiden Paladin and I'll just take a nap while you guys start talking. Cookie to anybody who understood those references.
Any fellow e-nappers out there?
Yeah, all you e-nappers with your rhino milk. Sorry. Okay, last EFAP joke. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for sticking up with us.
Yeah.
And listening to our family.
We have a lot of feelings.
We do. We love Persona. Don't watch the Persona 4 anime.
Watch the Persona 4 anime. Don't watch the Persona 5 anime.
Don't watch Persona 5 anime. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Julie, this is so much fun having you here because usually Tim and I do these things.
Thank you.
We'll do another one in the future. Somehow. We'll find a way.
Life finds a way.
Okay.
It does. Anyways, Tim, take it away.
All right. Thanks. So, if you want to submit a topic to me, you can either comment below if you're on YouTube, if you're on Tumblr, send me an ask, but topic, then whatever topic you want me to talk about. Or if you're on the Discord, go to the topic submissions channel and then submit a topic there. Just make sure to follow the rules. I'll be posting down below. If you want to watch last week's topic video, you can check that out here. If you want to watch next week's topic video, you can check that out here when I get that done. And thank you for watching.